Hey, it's the Low Life Podcast.
Do you know anything about that? Can you jam to the songs of cowboys and cyberspace? Ever read Neuromancer? Ever experienced the new wave? Next wave? Dream wave? Or cyberpunk? I didn't think so. It may be. It's a world where you can do the same thing. Not what you look like. A world where curiosity and imagination.
I'd buy that for $1. Hack the planet! Hack the planet! Hack the planet! Hack the planet! Shut up and get in the car!
Go away, Baton!
All right, who up playing with their low lissy? This is
We did. That was started. Oh my god!
with the Low Life Podcast. That's scum. Scum's dying.
Point off sport scum.
We got
Return to
Link.
Monke indeed.
We got Zero.
Oh my god.
Low life, low brow, and low lussy.
Yeah.
Duty for duty.
And Dan. the
Low Lussie was the best Stanley Kubrick movie.
Holy crap.
Oh, we haven't recorded in so long. This is what happens.
Yeah,
Okay.
so here's about that. I got COVID, and I didn't think I had COVID. I thought I had just a nice little cold going on, and then it kind of eased up after a few days. And then it said, "Guess what? We're not going to get out of bed for about a week." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I discovered a new NyQuil. It's very strong, and I like it very much. Also, if you're dealing with it, weed tinctures. They help the nausea. I didn't watch shit. Actually,
Well, sometimes the
I take
Hat
that
Man
back.
shows up, so yeah.
Hat Man showed up. Well, no,
I'm the
like,
Hat Man.
a bunch of stuff had happened. Like, my folks, they kind of like separate things happened to them on the same day that I had to like help out with one of them, and then I got sick immediately after that, and it just fucked my entire schedule up. But after I helped my dad out, I went to this like DVD place, and I finally picked up Geostorm. It is astonishingly bad. Like,
I'm serious. It was really funny when you told us that over text. The night before, my wife and I were looking for stuff to watch, and I had like just barely convinced her to not watch Geostorm.
Have you seen it? Zero?
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No, I saw the preview. That was all I needed.
Sometimes the trailer is enough.
There's not enough storming on the Geo in this. That's my big takeaway from it. And also, it's dumb. It's like, I feel bad for everybody involved in the making of the film, including the director, because he was like basing it on his 6-year-old daughter's idea.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
a weather machine can fix things. And then my idea was, what if somebody got control of it and decided to fuck everything up? And I'm like, let me put it this way. Gerard Butler was in a better ecological disaster movie called Greenland.
Right.
Nah.
It's not a great movie, but I really did enjoy that one, and I liked its kind of like sober tone compared to this dumb shit. Anyway, we have a website if you want to check it out called Neon Dystopia. We got a bunch of writing up there that's really good.
Yes, please do. A lot of good.
Yes,
Yeah.
neondystopia.com. We publish fiction twice a month. It has been great. We have stuff lined up all the way till December, so we're finally caught up.
Yeah.
We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/neondystopia. Drop us $1. Tell all your friends, tell your family, tell your spouse, tell your husband.
Tell your enemy if you have
And
bad taste.
and
Hold your
please
enemy down and tell them about us.
Remember, in this pledge drive season, that support for this podcast comes from you, our listeners.
And Novo Nordisk.
Yeah,
One of us listens
And,
to
of
NPR.
course,
we don't have a fucking tote for you though.
as always, though, thank you guys for to everybody who was already, donating.
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone involved. All of your
can't do this without you, for real. Like,
and all the listeners and all the people that eventually trickle down and jump into the Discord.
And kind of to that point, we wanted to say if you don't have $1 to spare, just give us a recommendation. Tell a friend. Tell a friend about the podcast. Link them to a podcast if you're interested.
Share the link.
Build the listener base, please.
Yeah, we're just trying to pay the writers.
Yes.
Harlan Ellison told us, got to do it.
Yeah, and
I fear the man. I think he's going to come and kick my ass, and he's been dead for years.
Oh,
yeah, no, absolutely. I live in fear of Harlan Ellison every day of my life.
I always will.
Yep.
I'm glad I never called him on the phone.
That would have been funny as fuck.
I could see that working out, though. I mean, he was unpredictable as hell.
Yeah, I saw his hometown. I had to do some construction work in Painesville once, and it was cute. It's a cute.
I think he'd have probably reverse the charges for you too.
Yeah.
I'm sure either that or he would have doubled them. I don't know. It could have really gone either way. It depends.
Yes, Harlan Ellison is from a place called Painesville.
Yeah,
that tracks.
That's beautiful.
Wait, that's not just something that coaches say.
Gonna take the train to Painesville.
What do you think the coach got the idea from?
Oh yeah. Am I tapping out? I'm like, am I sound okay?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Sound great.
Okay, well, good. I'll just
I think I could just hear a train.
Okay, I'll just ignore Zencaster then for the rest of this recording.
I have no waveform, and I must scream.
Right.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I can actually see Dan's moving slowly. The rest of ours, like mine, is just shooting right across. It doesn't make sense. None of this.
No. I just had to ask.
That's
so what are we
doing?
Well, what we're gonna do is we had this idea about fucking 4 weeks ago.
Before Quinops got the Andromeda strain.
Yeah. But what we're going to do is we're going to do like 4 episodes where we all pick some like goofy ass movie that just has, we weren't initially going to do like a play-by-play or anything of it. We were just going to be like, yeah, these are some vibes, some ideas and stuff like that. And then in the midst of my sickness and watching the movie I'd chosen for the first time in like 12 years or something like that, I was just like, I've made a mistake.
Yes.
And in addition to that, I also had this idea that like I'm really, really tired of like sticking. Like I set up the 2-hour limit for these episodes to make it easier for RSS to post them onto YouTube, so that people can watch us on YouTube if they wanted to hear it that way, etc. And then in the midst of like fever and cough syrup, I just said, "Fuck that! I'll just do it myself. I'm tired of this crap." Like it's a kind of a hassle. To have to do 2 separate episodes, and it's probably a pain in the ass for you, the listener, because I'm noticing like some of our playback counts aren't the same. Like more people are listening to the second episode. I'm like, no, you got to hear them first.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna make love to your ears for longer sessions, and then it's just gonna take a couple days for shit to get onto YouTube.
Speaking about making love to your ears.
Oh, must we?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Why did you? What did you have something?
I mean, we just watched something that where dude has a power drill for a dick. So,
right.
We're gonna get
that was
to
a
that
segue. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't realize.
One moment.
I was going to interject. I'm going to do a real quick video game review. One of the things that I did while I was sick was I played a whole lot of MechWarrior 5 Clans, and it's really good, guys. It's a lot of fun.
It is
faster than Mercenaries, But
it is now sitting at a mixed status on Steam.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people that don't like it can go fuck themselves.
It's okay to be
I enjoy
wrong.
the shit out of it. It's just relaxing. It's cool. It has a good story.
Some of the relaxing video game about
war crimes. Yeah, it's great.
With gigantic robots.
Yeah.
Or mecha if you're an otaku.
Really excellent. Are we the baddies moment at the end of the second arc? It's.
I mean, you're playing as the clans, so
it's pretty fucking.
Yeah.
It's a lot. But it's also made me go back and play Mercenaries again, which is just kind of like a more fun way to hang out with giant robots and kill things.
I definitely want to play Mercenaries. I remember playing the OG, like I think MechWarriors 3 Mercenary. I don't remember which one was Mercenaries.
I think it was 2 might have been.
I think it was 2. 2 was great.
Yeah, except I had it on the PS1 and it was dog shit.
PS1, yeah, I'm PC Master Race. So.
Right. Anyway, yeah. So there's the Quonaps quick interjection for a video game suggestion if you like giant fucking impractical weapons platforms.
And who doesn't? I mean, come on.
Right. Come on.
Getting the hunchback, Shinji.
Damn fucking straight. I'm hunching as hard as I can. Anyhow.
Talk about some mommy issues too.
Right on. So it's the Omni Oedipus. Oh man. So anyway, so we all picked movies and we've all watched them, and we're gonna go through 2 of them on this episode. And
Yes.
we're gonna start with one that is somehow crazier than the other one.
Well, also we kind of it was not a straight horror, but like a horror cyberpunk crossover.
Yeah.
We'll get to the horror next week, where I get to very sadly do an episode because
Yeah,
this is better than that.
Hey, you picked it, buddy.
I picked a bad one, guys.
Okay.
Tune in next week for some straight up bullshit.
Oh, that recommendation. I mean,
It's so bad I don't even want to watch it again, but I have to.
No, it's going to be great. Seriously, you got to hear this.
I mean, you can watch it at double speed, you know.
That's true. I can.
or sound off, and you can do that thing where you like put on Pink Floyd.
I mean, it is a visually driven like movie.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it. I
Anyway, let's talk about this.
What are we talking
right.
about?
So, let's not get sidetracked.
Of the 2 that we are talking about today, the first one was suggested to us by our buddy, the Cyberpunk librarian Dan.
Hey,
and it is called Dead Leaves, and it is the only film I have ever fucking seen in my life that damn near gave me a seizure.
Dead Leaves. If you didn't have seizures beforehand, you may develop them.
Yeah.
It's aggressive.
Yes.
It's like, what if we did animation on a strobe light?
Oh,
Yeah.
Basically, because like it's trying to animate what is normally like a still medium. Because this thing is basically it's manga. Like that's what this is, and it's. Well, but like we're animators, so everything is moving and exploding, and also giving you like the noise bubble of like boom, crack, boom, like
and it kind of does that thing where it kind of splits the screen into different panels too. Sometimes,
Yeah.
and it is a whole kaleidoscope of colors.
man,
Watching it, the first impression that I got was like all the most high intensity scenes out of Redline, but nothing in between to buttress.
Yeah.
It's all really fast paced. Even when you think it's going to slow down, it
that is
doesn't.
an accurate assessment. I think.
As the credits rolled, I was just like, "Why did you hurt me?"
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's
like
crazy. It has.
I could not even tell you what it's about. I've seen it twice. I had to wait like 5 or 6 years before my second viewing, but this time I was still like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, that's it. I was big into manga around this time. I don't remember seeing this movie. Less it might be that I could have saw it from the bottom of a K-hole and don't remember, because it's not just about the drugs; it's about the stimuli with the drugs, and this is like it fits the bill.
Yeah.
I saw this when I was a teenager, staying up at like 4:00 in the morning watching Adult Swim. That's when they had it on.
So we all had fever dream experiences with this film.
Yeah,
we weren't really quite sure if it existed until Dan brought it back into our our cognitive spheres.
Yeah, then I
watched it before I got sick, and then when I got sick, I was like, "There's no fucking way I'm watching this again."
No.
Oh man,
that's fair.
You're just going to find yourself sitting on the couch, and then you look over at the seat next to you, and you're sitting in that seat too. So
it's the most frenetic, hyperactive thing. Like
frenetic.
The closest thing that I can. I mean, and man, the Japanese make some of those batshit cyberpunk media. I think.
Especially back in the day, because these are the same people who did like Fooly Cooly, Evangelion,
this is like
something involving Evangelion.
Phoenix, right?
Yeah, it's Production IG.
Yeah, what they're putting out now is a little rough, but back in the day, they were like revolutionizing animation.
I mean, Production IG, I think, is they're responsible for like the cyberpunk medium or like cyberpunk in like the film medium. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Animation medium.
Yeah, because like unlike some of their other stuff that they'd work on, like Fooly Cooly and whatnot, this is like all 2D animation. It's all very flat.
I think Fooly Cooly was Production IG does Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's still 3D. That's still like 2D with 3D. They did some weird, funky shit. But with this is all
but this definitely does have like a huge Gainax vibe to it, though.
Oh yeah, because this is all like flat 2D. Like again, this is like this is all like a moving comic book. Not even cel shaded. It's literally like classic animation. There's just a lot of it. Because everything is just assaulting your senses.
Very loud. It's very loud.
Yes.
Nothing stops.
We're old. We're so old.
No, I mean, you know what? I think if you put like clips of this on TikTok, you would give those kids a new level of ADHD.
That's a fair bet.
This stuff, I had to take breaks from it. I mean, I took more breaks from this 52-minute film.
Attention spans are already fucked.
Oh, I didn't take a break. I just watched it and was like in pain, real pain, because there are times where like the screen is hurting me.
I walked down 2 flights of stairs, stood outside, looked at the movie, had cigarettes, looked at the squirrel, went back in. What the fuck?
So, I will say though, it's a tight 52 minutes. It's just enough. It's just enough. It doesn't need to be any longer.
Yeah,
it's rare. You get to the end of this film, and then your brain starts unpacking it, and it turns into a 3-hour film.
Yeah,
more or less.
Well, it's kind of like it's got a compression algorithm or something on it.
Yeah.
And after you watch it, you decompress it, and you get your 3-hour epic out of it.
Especially because how it starts, because it literally starts with these 2 jackoffs.
Well, let's who's responsible for this? Who is responsible for this?
So the director of this, Hiroyuki Imaishi. Sorry, I totally mispronounced his last name. Sorry, Hiroyuki. This guy has been involved in some stuff, man. I mean, he was an in-betweener animator on some of the Neon Genesis Evangelion stuff.
Right on.
Okay.
He did some work for Gainax, has been said before. Yeah. There's a reason that we can invoke Fooly Cooley on this, because the main character, one of them, by the name of Retro, has like a television for a head, just like a character in Fooly Cooley.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you watch this thinking, oh my God, this looks like, someone stole a whole bunch of shit and put it into this anime. Well, I don't know that he stole it. He just I used to do this and now I'm going to shove it in here.
Reused.
Yeah.
It's basically like, I like anime, so here's all of it all at once.
And this guy's got, he's got some cred to his thing, and it kind of goes back to the cyberpunk genre, because this is the same guy that's responsible for Cyberpunk Edge Runners on Netflix.
Right. Yeah.
He's also responsible for the Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt series, and one of the Cutie Honey
that
anime
series. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah.
Very much the same vibe. Mm-hmm. I get the sense that I don't know about anybody else, but this actually gave me a lot of like Invader Zim vibes. I think that there might be some fans of Western animation in here.
I can see that.
I can see that. I can see that. There was a Gur kind of element to Dick, who's my favorite character in anime.
Amazing.
Pretty much everyone's favorite character after they made him. Yeah.
Dick
It's funny. It's funny. We'll get into it, but like that's the only character I've ever seen in an anime where I was like, I do not like what they're doing with this. And then by the end of it, I was like, you fucking hero.
Definitely has a redemption arc from when he's first introduced. He definitely has a nice redemption arc. And the first thing I thought was like, this has got to be like a Tetsuo the Iron Man Easter egg.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
At the end of that movie, you're like, oh, what happened to that guy? Oh, they sent him to the moon prison.
And not to jump ahead, but this is like the first part of this podcast where we talk about a movie where the hero is not the main character.
Right.
Yes. There are so many characters, because it's like everything that's obviously the creators of Joy. There are so many side characters, and they all die horribly.
Yes,
and they're all giving you just enough character to like them, or at least sympathize with them in their situation before they are smeared into like pastry.
It's very what was that animation? Super Jail, where and I wouldn't be surprised if they took some inspiration for Super Jail for this. His idea is, at least these characters are way more likable than the assholes in Super Jail, because you're like, kill the prisoners, fuck them. But like in this, you're like, they're just mutants. They're just clone mutants. That's their crime.
Mostly mutants.
This is like a sequel to Multiplicity.
That's funny. That'd be weird.
With a little bit of
Frightening.
Gondahar thrown in for fun.
Frightening sequel to Mouth Pussy. Yeah.
I just love the way this anime starts because it's just these two jackoffs wake up nude in the middle of fucking nowhere, and they're like, "Who are we? I don't know.
What are we doing here?
Don't know."
And to put it into the words of MC Frontalot, well, time for a crime spree.
Yeah.
I love how you get your memory wiped, and your first impulse is to just shoot all the guns. Shoot all the guns.
Well, hang on, no, because
the things.
It definitely jumps a level because it starts out with like, hey, we're naked and cold and hungry. Let's go get some clothes and food. And next thing you know, it's like on the tail end of a Natural Born Killers-esque spree where they're in a car loaded with guns. They got a bunch of cool like clothes on, and they just skip the whole chapter there, and you just have to be like, okay, I'm catching up. Okay, I'm following. All right.
I do love too when they are in like the normie city. Everyone is basically like they all look alike, which
everyone is a clone,
which has its own implications. Because later I'm like, oh, everyone is just a clone. Then
that's what I was thinking. It's like,
they actually are just NPCs.
They all look like NPC memes, right?
One guy, which is one of the best callbacks in anime history.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Wait. Mm-hmm. Remind me. Hang on.
Oh, it's the guy they stole the car from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so nice. It's so nice.
It's so good.
Well, and I love how they name themselves because they literally have no memory of who they are. They don't know their names. Their names are really not revealed throughout the anime. I mean, so they just rename themselves. So one of them has a TV for a head, and the female character says, "Well, that thing on that retro TV on your head makes you look like an asshole."
Yeah, big CRT monitor.
Yeah. And he says that the thing around her eye makes her look like a panda bear, so that's how they come up with the name Retro and Pandy.
Yeah, she's got like a big pink birthmark on her eye.
Yeah.
And that eye's pink and the other eye's blue, right? It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's great.
I mean,
it's funny because trying to describe this seems like so slow and analytical, but you have to understand while we're talking about this, everything is moving and is exploding constantly.
Nothing stops.
Nothing.
There isn't a single moment of like reprieve where you
There's
can
no
just
stillness.
No, even when they're in the prison cell,
that's why this is so exhausting because there are no slow moments.
No, it only slows down to show you incredible violence.
Yes.
even when they're in the prison cell when they get to Super Jail and they put him in like the weird shit cocoons, like the fucking like uber straight jacket. Even Retro's like literally slithering up the walls where he's like, I am so bored. Like there's never a moment of just looking. Something is on the screen is always moving.
Yes. Yeah.
And flashing.
Yeah.
Or fucking.
There is a lot of flashing and fucking. Well, there's at least one scene of fucking.
Yes.
A lot of clever use of tools.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I don't know how to talk about this fucking movie.
That's right.
I mean, if you want like the 5-second pitch for it, it's a jailbreak film. There you go.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You owe it to yourself to do it like one time. Like have a Red Bull, just so you can keep up with it.
Like you could watch Lockout, or you could watch this.
Yeah, sure.
This has mechs though, so you should watch
this. Was much better than Lockout.
Yeah,
yes,
mechs
actually
die violently because everything dies violently in this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Just endlessly.
It's got some heavy metal. It's got some liquid television.
Yeah.
Biblical references. I mean, shit.
Yeah. I did think of heavy metal though while watching this.
Oh, there's a ton of heavy metal in it.
Yeah.
My God. This is almost impossible to talk about.
Yeah, we cannot summarize this. It's impossible to summarize. Well,
it just moves really fast. Like, I mean, the things that hit me the most was really neat how, like, they get to this prison, which is on the shattered moon. They don't tell you how the moon is shattered, but it's a shattered moon.
Initially.
And, like, you think it's going to be like a normal prison, but again, they're all in these, like, body bag cocoons. They're slung around on hooks through the air, and I guess
the
it's just
wardens
like
are monsters.
Yeah, there's two monsters that are basically the only real prison guard and wardens. They have a bunch of robots, but it's just, like, two actual flesh and blood.
Do you think Retro is a clone of one of the wardens?
It's possible.
Well, they're all clones of the same thing.
Because their face looks very similar, except Retro has, a TV for a head.
Sure.
Yeah.
I thought maybe that was implied. But I guess it doesn't really matter in the long scale of things, because everyone they said is a clone of everybody else. The only reason they're in the prison, they said, is because they're kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Mutations.
They don't look like one of the land chads.
Yeah, they don't look like the NPCs down on Earth. Oh God, yeah, they're in like
and that's what it is. They start in these like full body cocoons with just their heads sticking out. They're carried around on hooks like these, like to work and shit.
They're forced to eat. They're forced to shit.
By the way.
Yeah, they're forced to shit, and it just becomes this like
Guantanamo-esque nightmare.
Yeah. You could get killed for like you could get killed for any reason. Like the wardens are like these two rocker looking dudes, and they just kill. They're so extremely powerful. They just kill people for fun. They'll kill you for any reason.
They're definitely Bosuzoku Oni, you know.
Yeah, they're shitheads.
And their names are 666 and 777. So.
Right. Yeah. We learn later that they're basically like stable, weaponized mutants.
Stable and huge air quotes.
Huge. Has guns in their bodies. They're fucked up. It's pretty fun. But yeah, then they like, God, they managed to escape out of the body cocoons by fucking.
Yeah.
So love will set you free.
Now, the only hole is the butthole.
Yep.
It's brought up, by the way.
Yes.
She definitely mentions that.
Pandy mentions that was the wrong hole.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yet,
how did he manage
the movie happen?
Like,
and also, how did his boner get out? And
how did his dick get out of that thing?
Don't worry about it. I am moving on.
In the next
of people
2
with
minutes,
their
they
dick
kind
hanging
of
out of the straitjacket.
In the next 2 minutes, they kind of bust out of their straitjackets. They just kind of like figured out how, and it seems like very convenient. But then later, it's explained. So,
well, they even mention it. Like, how did we know how to get out of these shackles?
Right. They have all this they have all this like foreknowledge of everything.
Yeah.
They're like Wesley Snipes getting thought out in Demolition Man.
Well, our background's been static for over 30 seconds, so we need to bust out of here quick.
And then it just goes batshit insane. They release all the prisoners. The prisoners are like, we devote our lives to you. You're the boss. And then he's like, haha, we must have been Yakuza back in the day. And she's like, fuck off.
Right. And Retro is definitely, he's a fucking egomaniac.
Yeah.
The sound of their lovemaking has just enamored the entire prison.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. They're all extremely happy that they got to hear them both fuck. Especially who we're introduced is Dick. Dick has a power drill for a penis. And
not just a small one.
I think he's credited as Dick Drill in the list that I see. Dick Drill.
Drill Dick.
Yeah, it comes too.
Yeah.
Well, you guys
would
have
expect after you watch 15 minutes of this.
Cutting through the rock, you know.
Yeah, it cuts through the rock. It cuts through buttholes.
Yeah, this one's not for kids.
No.
Do not show this to your children.
We've mentioned this yet.
Anyway, he starts out as like the last guy you would want to be friends with in the prison. Like when he's
yeah.
And, ends up being nice.
Yeah, he's a freak. Let's not glorify him to that extent.
If there is a moral to be taken away from this, it's don't get comfortable with the story.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or any of the characters in it.
It does subvert a lot of expectations of where you think things are going to go.
And there's the character with like, I couldn't tell if it was just like an ass or like.
He has balls for a head. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he has balls for a head. There's one guy who's basically has like his nose is like a cock arm.
Yeah.
There's another guy whose hair can hold things up. We even meet we even meet Sarge, who's like comes out of nowhere with a tank, and he's like a cyborg soldier dude. Like like again, there's so many of them.
Whatever you think of, it will
there's
show up.
So many of them.
Yeah.
You get to a point where you start playing a game with yourself. You're like, I wonder if they're going to have like.
There's robots. There's people.
Giraffe with tongs for teeth, and boom, there you go.
There he is. Yeah. They had so much fun. Like it's one of those where it's like all right, what's cool? Like the animators had a field day just inventing this batshit characters.
There seems to be a project where someone just got a bunch of money to do whatever they wanted, and they did.
Yes.
And it wasn't Megalopolis.
I can't believe that movie was just like the retelling of like Roman history.
It's funny you say that because it's actually more like the movie I picked, which we'll get to next week.
Tune in next week.
Next week, woo!
Humiliating another movie.
Fuck, man, I don't know.
So they break out.
Yeah.
Violence ensues. Violence. Like I could sum it up like that.
It's literally
it's just such a massive,
45
like such
minutes
a long,
of violence.
Yeah, it's such a long sequence.
Because then at this point, after they escape, it's like 45 minutes of violence. They manage to like fight off the NPC guards who also all look alike.
Yeah, they get onto a train, but then
they get to the armoury first.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Because they managed to somehow fit through a pipe, and they even bring it up. How did we know where the armory was?
Yeah.
And then they have a fucking tank, which is used to great effect. Then they just shove the turret of the tank, because of course the tank gets fucking got by giant crystal robots. And they just shove the turret into the tank, so they just have like a howitzer.
Dude, you understand
that they fire. Okay, this is the point where I'm like, this rules like beyond any measure of a doubt. Is Sarge shoves the howitzer up the gun of a mech that tore open the train.
Yep. And just the train, that was just. There's so much in this movie.
We are under describing things.
Yes, it's impossible.
We can talk about this for an hour and still not describe the first 15 minutes.
This is where it's like, this is artwork, because it's a visual medium. This is art. You need to see it.
It flows a lot better.
Appreciate it.
You know that thing where the Mythbusters guys had a bunch of these like air cannons with paint pellets in it.
Yeah.
They shot it and it made the Mona Lisa. That's what this is. It's 52 minutes splatted into your brain, and it unpacks into 4 seasons of a fucking anime series. More happens in this film than like it doesn't. No one would survive this. It's insane.
And beloved, we haven't even gotten to the birth with the guns.
Right.
Oh my god!
Yeah, after
I can't even.
Pandy gets knocked out.
Rolled back in my head.
So, like, she has a mutation gene because she was present during an experiment that went wrong that killed her ex-boyfriend, and she has to face her ex's daughter, who wants her fucking dead, but specifically wants the mutation gene that lodged itself in her left eye, and now she's pregnant, and that pregnancy phases itself through her womb as a gun-toting toddler of Christ, because it glows, and I think it's got a halo, and shoots the shit out of her.
Like golden being.
Yeah.
Dude, our next movie is about getting high, and this is like...
We figured that. Okay, so this entire thing we've been trying to describe is pretty much what the main character in the next movie experiences.
Minus Monkey.
Yeah.
There is no monkey, at least not that I saw.
No, there is no monkey.
I could have missed it.
Yeah. I don't know. There's probably a guard in there.
Wasn't there an ape or a gorilla or something?
Probably. Oh,
there were some simian-like features on some of the characters.
Yeah, there's a few. What else?
And she, the daughter of the ex-boyfriend, is like super mecha enhanced and like real badass and
like really all of it. She actually reminded me, weirdly enough, and this might be me like looking too deep into it, of like, do you all remember the French? They made an animated series, which is how I know of it because I watched it as a kid. But the Phantom, and they made an animated series of it, and one of the characters was someone who's like, he's just a head, but he's like cyber, like he just plugs himself.
Are you talking about Phantom 2040?
Yeah.
I never saw that. But
neither have I, but I've heard
it's like the peak of like weird French animation.
Yeah.
That's kind of what she reminded me of like, because she's just pulling like arms out of her like body. Like she has so many weapons.
She is literally at the ex machina in the moment. Like whatever she needs, she can pull out.
Yeah. She turns her arm into like, the arm from Big O.
Yeah. The piston.
Yeah, it's got a rocket on the back.
Everything is a weapon.
Everything is a weapon.
Yeah.
God, we jumped ahead. I'm getting exhausted. I'm actually getting tired.
The thing is
try to remember
ahead, but go ahead and jump back. Where the hell were we before? Goddess knows.
Oh,
Jesus.
So Sarge fired a howitzer inside a train car, which cleared out the train car, but got rid of their mech problem because all the everything shatters. That train car's fucked.
Yeah.
The wardens show up, who are just jacked Rambo killing machines.
666
one's like
and
all
777.
guns, one's knives. He's got these like blade arm things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they're the mirror kind of thing where one is big and bulky and invincible, and the other was very fast and lithe and invincible. So
yeah. So they kill the shit out of everyone.
So many people die.
So many people. I think my favorite though is when Sarge dies. And again, this is just someone who kind of just showed up. We haven't been following Sarge. He just showed up with a fucking tank at one point.
Again, it's just a prison riot. There's crowd.
Yeah.
But he's so distinct enough, and he has his own voice, and like where you're like, okay. But then he just immediately gets smushed. And everyone else with this other distinctly unique looking character is like forms a firing line, is like, we have to avenge Sarge, and then just shoots, the warden, does nothing, and then they all die, and they just die horrifically. But it's the sense that everyone just looks so distinct with their own distinct personality that they're just on screen for a minute.
Yeah.
It's an incredible amount of information to process.
Yes.
And the thing is they're there long enough for you to start caring about them.
Yeah. It's fucked up considering they're there for 2 minutes and then die horribly. It's really, that's like an accomplishment. It's really hard to do what they did in such a limited amount of time for storytelling, for this not to have sucked.
Yeah.
Because I've seen things that try and be this this insane and fail, because I'm like, weirdly enough, it's like, I think the storytelling was actually really solid, despite it's how batshit it is.
Yeah. No, it gives you something.
It does. It gives you enough where you're going to keep going with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. My brain is still jelly from that.
Just don't question it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely find it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, find it. They get through the train. Just more chaos ensues. It's indescribable. There's a gunfight on tubes in space.
It's a maelstrom.
That's a good word for it. That's good. Yeah.
Oh man,
it's fucked up. It's
a visual assault. It's something where I wished. I mean, I'm going to sound old saying this, but I do wish they made stuff like this. It's I've been seeing some animes that kind of get to that point, but this is something that it could not have been longer.
Yeah,
exactly. The animators
would have overstayed its welcome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The animators would have just killed management.
It's a standalone. I can't think of anything else it reminds me of specifically in its effect.
Yeah.
And it does that thing too, towards the end where you think it's going to end and then it goes on for another 15 or 20 minutes, but not in an annoying way. When is it going to end? You're just like, and now they're okay. And then they did that. And now this is going to happen. And of course there has to be a giant insects at the end.
Yes.
That's where I was just about to say, that's where at the ending is where it starts channeling Evangelion. You get some weird shit.
Yes, you do.
And that's where it makes sense.
Yeah, weirdly enough.
I mean, this is one of those things that at the end of the story, it comes together.
Yeah.
Gun-toting toddler literally lives for 5 minutes of screen time.
Convenience.
Ages rapidly and then dies.
It sacrifices itself and, it gets the job done. I do appreciate, too, that, with the ending, right? Because there is the joke at the end where, the dude who got carjacked. It's implying that this is just going to happen a lot. Because they're alive. They landed. They're fine. And to just peruse, do more chaos. But you never get any more, and that's fine.
See, the moon's getting all fucked up.
Even more fucked up.
Yeah, the moon is more screwed up than it was to begin with.
It starts just like the beginning, except they retain their memories this time.
Yes.
So there's probably version 1 of this. There's still a moon.
Yeah. I think that might be the
of batshit insanity and violence.
Well, that was probably the thing that probably fucked up the moon the first time, was the accident that caused all this.
I think they went into the backstory a little bit for a minute. Again, incomprehensible. I still don't know what it was, but I remember the moon being intact for a flashback scene. So that's all I got.
That's the other thing. Even the flashbacks were an assault, because you're just getting pelted with images
and information all at the same time. So it's
it is moving.
There's so much going. There's so much going on screen that it's hard to process any auditory information they give you, any backstory.
Oh, yeah, and actually, you're reading it too.
It's kind of anytime that there could be a pause to reveal some story or build something in a static way, instead it cuts to a flashback that is absolutely frenetic.
Yeah.
Things are always this crazy all the time for them.
And it's hard to do and to not suck. You know, like
this is Herculean.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It doesn't get old. It doesn't get old.
No. It's really hard to keep something moving at this pace and actually wrap up really well.
Fucking frames,
especially with an ending like that. You know, that whole cyclical ending.
Yeah.
That like you're back where you started. That's especially with something that moves this quickly. Like I'm surprised that they were able to pull that off.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
Yeah. I think that's why we're still talking about it how many years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely something that happened.
Literally 20 years later. Oh, shit.
Made in 2004.
I'm pretty sure this is based on a manga, because watching it is basically a manga. They even do like the boom, gunshot, crack, explode, you know.
Yeah, those are actually really funny.
Those are really fun. I love that.
It's, listener, seek out Dead Leaves for sure.
Yep.
This one, it's fucking wild.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. This is the film you put on after you've eaten like way too much candy at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. It when you're
getting them sweats.
Yeah. Some sort of like altered state of mind. Recommended for a first viewing.
Yeah.
Like you will not absorb it whatsoever, but
and I think as far as like storytelling goes for this, because obviously like this had to be an animation.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, if you're thinking about like prose, this kind of reminds me of like weird creepypastas that are like, and then he did this, and I reckon this is happening now. Holy shit! And it's possible. It is doable.
Violence pasta.
Yeah. Why not? It's something I've seen before, and I will like looking at this, which is good.
Yeah.
I think it is 100% possible to do like a breakneck speed story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like flash fiction in some ways.
A lot of ways, yeah.
Actually,
I mean, if you're going to compare it to the length of a series, for sure.
Yes.
I just got really high and kicked back on the couch and just let it wash over me and just tried to remember to blink.
Yeah.
Yep. Time.
But if you blink, you might miss something. That's
important.
Yeah, exactly. Plot point.
It's so fast. It's so much. It's so massive.
Just seizure warning.
Seek it out, dear listener. Oh my god!
If we have any Gen Alpha listeners, I want to hear your take on it. I want to hear what you think about this anime.
For sure.
And you don't have to pay anything.
Although if you are Gen Alpha, why are you listening to this podcast as adults only? Jesus.
And you don't have to pay anything for this. If your library has like the Hoopla digital service, it's free on Hoopla.
There you go.
You can watch it on. You can watch it on Tubi too.
Yeah, it's on Tubi.
Nice. It is on Tubi.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, guys.
Man, we managed to squeeze out 40 minutes of a conversation on that one.
Yeah.
We came
just
in.
Recalling it makes my like eye hurt. You know, like it's.
I didn't have a twitch until now.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what. If I'm ever in space and for some reason I'm in a suit and I get untethered and I'm spiraling throughout the ether, this is what I'll think of before I give up.
Yeah. Just play that movie in your head.
Yeah, because it's short enough, but it's also long enough. And I'm just like, yeah, man, remember that part where the guy had the drill dick and he was drilling into this guy's neck?
Well, that's the hardest thing. Is like remembering any one part over another. Like it just it's so smooth.
Yeah,
it's a fever dream. It is an ADHD fever dream.
Yes.
I mean, it's one of those movies where you can have a favorite part and someone can have a favorite part that takes place 10 seconds after your favorite part, and it's a totally different part.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not making that up.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
I don't even know.
And hey, if you do have a drill for a penis, you use it responsibly.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Well, that's what I was saying before. It's just like the first thing I thought when I saw that guy was like, now I know what happened at the end of Tetsuo the Iron Man. There's horrible
You went to moon jail.
Oh, well, at least we got to work in one of my favorite genres, which is super jail.
Super Moon Jail.
Super Moon Jail.
Yeah, more on that later this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I realize why you picked this one, Dan. Although, Scum, you seem to have so much more to say about this. But, yeah, I
don't know, man. I just like batshit insane jails.
I was thinking, like, this month was going to be, like, more
spooky stuff, yeah.
But I mean, and like I'm not saying that's bad, but now I'm like, oh yeah, it is about super jail.
Yeah. All I think about is the super jail from Face Off, where they give him the boots, and that's my standard now for like dumb. Because they're all dumb. That's why I like them, because jails are stupid. But like the idea of like, how do we make a jail worse than it already is?
No, the horror of Dead Leaves is that it's like that final moments of a lucid dream before you wake up, where you think you're already awake, but this shit keeps happening that's like impossible.
I mean, it's animated, but it gets a little body horror in there. No joke.
Oh, tons of body horror. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's wild. It's all dressed up in these really pretty loud colors, but I'm
Very
telling
juicy.
you, man, it's really
It's a juicy
fucked up when you start thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's real great. Oh,
Well,
so
keep
how
in
do we
mind
do
that there
this?
is a scene where a hose gets shoved up a bunch of people's asses so they can poop.
Yeah.
And
And a guy gets killed
that's not
because
even
he
the
poops
most
too much.
horrific thing in the movie.
Not even.
Right.
Yeah.
The guy poops too much.
Yeah.
I know what that's like. Anyway,
Especially after the last few weeks.
it was rough. It was rough, buddy. Did you ever have the kind of diarrhea that has like shotgun pellets in
we
it?
don't have
Yeah.
Oh man,
No, we're not recording that.
Don't
we're not
wanna
talking
hear
about this
about
on air.
Redacted.
your sheep push. Okay,
You're going to hear a long beep.
No, you're not. I'm leaving it in.
All our listeners are
Because I'm not
leaving.
editing
You're
this.
asking
Our
Coin Ops to censor
Patreon
himself.
donations are just drying up as we speak.
I wish I had recorded the sound. Anyway, so
It would have been good for some sound effects somewhere.
I would drum and bass,
Yeah.
dubstep. I got all kinds
Definitely
of
dubstep.
next season's theme song. You know, that's
Please.
funk
man.
flush. Anyway,
How are we at this?
How are we landing this plane?
we are gonna go take the non-functioning Wayback Machine. Is it still? They got attacked again.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
Let's take
Yeah,
a look here.
so
Are they
already?
up now?
God damn it!
That was nice for the whole 5 minutes I got to use it.
Currently, the Internet Archive is up.
Yay.
I
Yeah.
have this recording Thursday, October 24th at 9 p.m. The Internet Archive is up. See how it's different when you listen to this later.
We'll keep you posted.
Well, I'm sorry, guys. I picked one, and I thought it was going to be silly. I thought, hey, because I was thinking, let's do some off, like B-movie kind of out into left field
All right,
kind
hold
of
on.
things.
Talking about drill penises, I got to go pee. I'll be back in a second.
Right. Okay.
I'll
That's
keep
much
doing
better than the
this.
diarrhea talk.
We'll keep talking.
I'm gonna go grab some edibles real quick. I'll be right back.
What the fuck is going on?
Jesus Christ.
I'm just gonna fucking sit
I thought we were
here.
gonna, like,
All
Maybe
right.
take a break or something.
I mean, I brought my shit
26
with me.
fucking minutes. The fuck is wrong with you?
We've got a
established
strong
this.
union, dude.
Low Lussie's
Fine.
hurting.
Fine, fuck it.
Well,
I'll
go
say
ahead. Go get your edibles.
Nope. I'm
Scum's
here.
already left. You may as well take
Fine,
advantage.
fuck it. God damn it.
Yeah. See what's happening?
Go itch your low Lussie if it's sore or whatever.
So what we're doing is killing time, I guess. I didn't realize we were going to take a pee break. So let's see. Elon Musk is still an idiot.
Oh God,
Let's not. I don't. This is going to be the rest of the episode if we start. On this
Yeah.
you're
fucking
probably
jail
not
off.
wrong.
This is an update, just so in case, it's been a
What
few
is that
weeks.
sound?
Who's playing fucking music now?
Right?
What?
What is
Sorry,
this?
that was my alarm.
I
What are
see.
you doing?
Jesus, I thought it was another Discord
Time for
spooky sound.
Teletubbies.
I was like, oh, hey, guys, we're not going to have an end time for this one. And it was just like, well, let's go on vacation. Let's just... I'm going to go boot up Mech Warrior real quick and then see if I can get a quick 45-minute story machine. Yeah, so the idea for this month was, again, it was going to be lighter, chiller, like just the most specious connection to cyberpunk, but horror, in as much as like that could be. And we're talking like the thinnest string. We didn't have to make it like a full-on Terminator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I fucked up because the first time, and I'll say what it is in a minute, but the first time I'd seen this movie, I was like 9, and I should not have seen it
Yeah.
for every reason. Never mind the boobs. It was just more about I didn't know what they were talking about.
I think there's a lot of that on these movies we've picked. There's a lot of I saw this way too young.
Yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being a child and watching this movie. Like,
yeah.
let's
So
be
I-
real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 9. It was my grandmother, who has just recently passed, rest in peace. This is one of the movies that we saw when my brother was 5 and I was 9. And it's 1980s Altered States.
Yep.
You fucked us.
Altered States.
Yeah. All I really remembered from this movie was man turns into Monke.
Return to Monke. I never even heard of this movie. No idea. Never came up in my purview. No one's ever mentioned it until like you did.
It was on Tubi for a minute, and I was going to watch it because the premise sounded very much up my alley. Which
I didn't know that.
I had forgotten that I had seen this movie, but definitely in the honeymoon of my psychonaut LSD phase after high school, I saw this and I didn't remember it until I watched it again now. And the image on the screen of the 6-eyed goat on the crucifix, I was like, oh, I've been here before.
Right. It's funny that's what tripped the trigger. You know,
yes,
I know that goat.
Again, surprise, Zero watched it when he was fucked up on drugs.
It's the goated goat.
Oh, man.
So upon rewatching this film, I was like, "Holy God, this is actually really good."
Yeah, it's better than I remembered it being.
Way better than I remembered it being.
But then again, I was probably...
I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10.
You're wrong. You are incorrect.
Definitely out of my brain on it. So.
But here's the thing that I didn't realize about it. I think the film kind of stands on its own alone. You know, I think it's a good movie. Mm-hmm. But what I didn't realize, I did a little bit of digging on this. It turns out this was written by Paddy Chayefsky, who had written possibly one of the greatest films of all time, Network.
Amazing.
Others. Okay.
Which we have covered on this show. Go back to season 1 if you were interested.
Yeah, 2 parts.
That comes through.
Yes.
Check it out.
It's such a good movie.
Network's incredible. But the director is Ken Russell. Mm-hmm. Ken Russell's really as far as anyone knows, has really made his bones on quite a few movies. But the biggest one was probably Tommy, the Who's rock opera made into film. And, you know, real big, you know, I'm the cock of the walk. I can do whatever I want. Well, Chayefsky had this thing about the script where when he turned it in, he wanted it shot as written. He had that's part of his contract. Other people have tried to do that. I think Sorkin was that way. But like, Chayefsky's a good writer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And based on this, he had this conversation, I want to say with like Irvin Kershner or somebody else, where they were talking about how like there was, Irvin Kershner, that was the conversation. This was a different director. He was having a conversation about just this like idea of, you know, this psychedelic shit. And basically he was doing a lot of research into John C. Lilly. Now, if you want any backstory on John C. Lilly, I refer you to episode 8 of The Dollop called The Dolphin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then pause this podcast, go listen to that, and then come back. It's going to fuck you up. This guy was a psychonaut. He also did stuff with dolphins that wasn't just a lot.
Yeah.
That's one way to put it gently.
But a lot of this was dealing with like psychedelics and sensory deprivation tanks, various types of meditation, et cetera, et cetera. So Chayefsky did this entire crazy like amount of research on all of this stuff and wrote a novel for it. And then
did he ever say if he ever took psychedelics himself? Because I
don't know.
I don't
think so.
I feel there's like more than just psychedelics in this movie because there's definitely like some occult shit going on as well. Like
Well, it's the Book of Revelations.
Yeah,
that's like the big one, and it has some great imagery in it. You know, because that's
pretty metal.
That's the fucking Ergot book. You know,
and it turns into a goddamn monkey. Anyway,
it's so good,
so good.
But anyway, he during the filming of it, he and Russell, they didn't get along. Chayefsky said that Russell was basically just like he was actually having people do improv and this, that, and the other thing just to fuck with Chayefsky because he was on set. And he also said Russell was a drunk. You know, he was just fucking hammered on set all the time. And so he went and he tried to get his name scrubbed off of the thing.
Wow.
So
I love how many movies we review that seems to be the case.
Yeah, well, it's the funny thing. It's written by Sidney Aaron, but it still has a credit where it's based on the novel Altered States by Paddy Chayefsky. And the fun thing is that Sidney Aaron is actually Chayefsky's first and middle name. So it's like the irony in all of this is that It's a good movie.
Yes.
It's tremendous, actually.
It's a really good movie. I don't know if it's like a pro tip where if you're like, especially when you're doing like collaborative work, so like let's say comics or like movies, things where you have like producers and editors. Sometimes it isn't always the best to have your work exactly as it is. Sometimes things become a transformative work.
Well, like, I think
from medium to medium, that's absolutely true. And some people can deal with that and some people can't. And it comes down to how you're able to creatively, creative, what's the fucking term I'm looking for?
Adapt.
Criticism. Creative criticism.
Yes.
Well, I mean, this is coming at a point in Chayefsky's career where he would die a year later. He died 5 months after the movie came out.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, people said that the movie broke his heart that much.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, come on.
Well, I feel like an asshole now.
I know. But the thing is at this point, this isn't the case. Chayefsky's he wrote a television series, like I think throughout the 60s or 70s or something like that. It was huge. It was a cop show or something like that. And he adapted it into a movie. And that's when he really kind of broke. And he had Oscar nods before Network. Mm-hmm. So this guy knew the game. And at this point, his shit really didn't stink. You know, he was just there weren't, it wasn't like it is now. Like the market was way different. There weren't that many writers like this.
Yeah.
And anyway, I don't know. He was getting long in the tooth. And Russell was just this fucking drug-fueled maniac who just got done making a couple of rock and roll movies and stuff, and he had a massive flop, and this was supposed to be his comeback, and the movie did all right. It didn't exactly flop, but it made its budget back and stuff like that, but it wasn't like a hit by any
I was going to say, I can see this not being a mainstream hit.
Yeah.
For what it is.
Yeah, for coming out in the theater, I think that you'd have to really seek the right audience. I mean, when we saw this, we went and got it at like a video rental store, but we definitely sought it out. It wasn't recommended to us.
Definitely, like a lot of stuff that they talk about. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff that they talk about in this movie that's like, it's if you're not like plugged into like drug culture, then you might get a little lost.
Visuals alone I would have loved to have seen this in the movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's the craziest thing about this. I'm watching it today, and I'm thinking about 1980, right? So you have we're kind of in the satanic panic going on and stuff like that, but this doesn't quite fit there because it's more about like the science and the chemistry of it. Yeah. This movie, its audience existed 10 years prior because this film starts in 1967. Like that's when the movie starts, when he's sitting there. Like I say, the movie opens with our hero, William Hurt in his first film role as Edward Jessup. And he's in this vertical, bronze, it almost looks like a brew tank.
No, they literally said it's a old boiler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's vertical in the sensory deprivation tank. He's got blinders on his eyes. He's got electrodes attached to his head. And he's got this glass air tank bubble over his head.
Get me in there.
Yeah. And,
get me in there. It looks incredible. It's
it
so
does
cool.
Look really fun.
Yeah.
And Arthur Rosenberg's his assistant and his buddy. And he's like, hey, you want to come out of the tank and show you how the whole thing looks and how it works? And there's this readout and this whole 9 yards. Mm-hmm. So that they're doing this, and he's giving a voiceover too. Rosenberg actually has this voiceover at the very beginning about how they just had access to this tank and they were going to try some things out because they'd heard some stuff.
Yeah, they're psychology students,
right?
Yeah, and he's hallucinating for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And
he's like, did I talk to you? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I witnessed the death of my father. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it's it felt like 1 hour instead of 5.
He's like,
you're just tripping this entire time.
Yeah, and that's how that works. The idea of the sensory deprivation is that if you're in body temperature water with just the right amount of salt in it, you're going to float. And it's eventually, if you're not moving at all, there's no current. You're not going to feel anything. You're going to feel weightless. Yeah. And it causes, because
being back in the womb.
Well, there's that, but there's also you're covered in this sensory organ, and then you close your eyes. That's your second sensory organ, and then you plug your ears. That's your third sense. You're not smelling anything because you're just in a fucking air tank. Mm-hmm. You're breathing. That's all you got left. You're not tasting anything but yourself. Your brain starts shutting down and filling in the spots.
Yeah, I've heard so many stories.
It's wild, man. I've been in a sense depth tank.
Wait, what?
There was a spa at the Edgar Casey Psychic Institute in Virginia Beach. Okay. My wife and I went down there one time on a Groupon of all things to stay in this huge creepy hotel, the Cavalier, and I think I was telling you guys about it in the Discord in Virginia Beach, which is also the home of Edgar Cayce, the psychic, and there's a big institute library there for him. And in the spa there, they have a sensory deprivation tank that you can go into. It's pretty cool. It was really.
You didn't. Fuck you! You didn't mention any of that. That's awesome.
And now Scum's pissed off.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Look what you've done.
That's cool as fuck.
Talk about it here, you know.
That's so cool. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it was more like the second tank in the movie, not like the first one that's like a big torpedo where he's breathing underwater. It was not like that. It was like the second tank where you're floating in like a high salt concentration. It's pitch black. There's well, actually, I had them. You can choose to have music or not, and turn it on or not by like these little like switches you can kind of get to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really wild. I think for a time I was just like floating by myself, like just with nothing, and then for I should also say I got really high with my pen before I got in there. And for a time, I was kind of like floating and like letting the visual sensations like come. And then after a while, I got a little bored. I was in there for like an hour. I think for the last half hour, I just put on some Less Mord and like.
Really I would try that with
wild
some
cave sounds.
Nice.
I would try that with some binaural beats. I think that would be really
like
interesting.
Nice idea.
Yeah, or like non-repeating like
Time Machines by Coil. Dude, man, if I could that would be wild if you could reproduce the sensations that these guys put into the music through sensory deprivation.
I'd use MRI sounds.
I would use just sort of cascading infinite 5-hour drone. You know, just
Yeah.
I want to hear my own blood.
I did like to be like
or something
totally
like
black and let visual sensations happen naturally, but I did kind of think like it would be nice to have just a projection in here of something. Like they didn't have that option, but it would have been neat.
That's so
even
cool.
just an oil projector or something like that would have been kind of wild.
I remember back in the old acid days, somebody had mentioned that someone in one of the warehouses somewhere in Youngstown got a 3. People lived in it, they worked in them and stuff. They had like a 3-foot pool, like one of the cheap ones you buy at like Walmart, and then just filled it up with water and put as much salt as they could in it and tried to do it there. And then
Did it work?
I don't know. I wanted to find out. It just never happened. I think the warehouse burnt down. I don't know.
So it did work.
Yeah, possibly. The guy turned into Monke and then Vortex and then. But anyway, so they go, and Arthur has a party. Like his wife's pregnant and having some friends over and stuff like that.
This is 7 years later. We're skipping over a lot of parts. Blair Brown is in this. You might remember.
Yeah, this is where they meet.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I will say too that this is like the hurtiest of hurt performances, and like, until the end of the world. I don't like him. I don't like his character.
It's another movie where William Hurt plays a character who pilfers.
He's so good at it. Though.
Sacred.
Yeah,
he's so
like spirituality from an indigenous.
Yeah. It's the same character.
Yeah,
isn't it?
pretty much.
He's good in this.
Also has daddy issues.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. He's good at playing someone who's just obsessed with an idea.
Yeah.
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 And it comes off throughout the whole film.
An indigenous idea.
An indigenous idea,
has to take back and
it has to
science-ify.
This movie wasn't as racist as I was afraid it was going to be.
Wow.
But yeah, I remember that was an early concern he had. Is like, I don't know if I want to watch another movie about like white man taking drugs, out in the. And I'm like, trust me, like it's not.
It's not.
It's not that.
It's not.
It's not. It's actually about becoming. Funny enough, no longer white. I'm like, no, I warmed up to it quite a lot.
Especially the way he like fucks up in that moment is really great. But we'll get to it anyway. So like, they're having a party, and that's where he meets his wife. And she actually has like a really great line where she's just like, Arthur said you're interesting, and he's like, I don't think so. What did Arthur really say? And then she just lays into him about what a fucking weirdo he is.
Yeah, he's insane. Like,
it's this amazing like piece.
Yeah, because even his friends think like, oh yeah, Arthur's nuts.
And again, I got another woman he doesn't deserve. His character, like,
yeah, exactly.
She's so good.
She's so good. She's so gorgeous. She's really smart.
Yeah.
This is a movie. This is a movie about scientists. Like, and that comes through in their acting. Like everyone in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a very like it's very reminiscent in a lot of ways of Network. The scenes with Blair Brown's character, I forget her name.
She has there's a Faye Dunaway kind of to some of her speeches. She's very similar.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. It makes me wonder if Patty Chayefsky knows how to write women.
He knows how to write very because they're all very intelligent. Because like I said,
okay, you remember the Faye Dunaway sex scene in Network? Beforehand, she's just like, listen, I consummate early, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm really bad at this, et cetera, and all I like to just talk about work. And then she goes and has sex and does that exact fucking thing in order. And when she's talking in the midst of sex before she has a really quick orgasm, and then she just keeps going, there's this energy to it that is not at all like Emily's. But there's still this through line of, I have like a universe of experience unto me, and these lines are coming out of a person, a formed person.
She's characterized well. I just think that I don't know. The movie kind of did her dirty.
We're gonna we'll get
a lot of ways. I think
too.
And personally, I think that's kind of what makes the movie fall apart for me. Because it really hinges on that. We'll get to it, but
we'll get to it, right? So anyway, they're walking home from the party, and he straight up just says, "Hey, I want to go to your place tonight." And then they it's like, wow, okay, does that work?
It's a 60s. Fuck it, we're both incredibly smart people. Let's go have sex.
That's a very that's a gamble, but it can work.
Yeah, because cut to O faces.
cut to religious awe faces.
One of my favorite, one of my favorite parts of the movie. Emily says, like he's like staring off into the distance and like looking at the space heater, and she's like, "What are you thinking about?" And he's like, "God, Jesus, crucifixion."
Crucifixions.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah,
it's the post nut trauma dump scene, basically.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we learn a lot about him, and again,
they have a whole conversation here too.
It's so good,
which is really good.
It's really good. They're both nude, they're sweaty, and they're just the camera pans out.
And tender.
I really like the framing of this shot. I really like them. This is where we kind of get to elicit the first real because right now we just know he's an eccentric. We don't really know how much of an asshole he is yet, but right now we just know he's a young eccentric scientist. This is where the movie develops a sympathy for him. Is he recalls his father's death and where the birth of this obsession came from, which this is what I immediately thought is, it was like William Blake seeing like a tree full of angels, and that's when he first started seeing visions. It's like he admits, I used to see shit. Like I used to have religious experiences all the time, but then I grew up and that stopped happening. And he goes into how his father died, and that fucked him up.
Yeah,
and
you see how, and because
like
in a way,
from his own consciousness, but he goes into his my father was struggling to speak, and he finally said terrible, and it's the fear of death is just more I told you, suffering.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm tripping over this. It's a beautiful scene. I really do enjoy that scene.
Yeah.
And this is where we develop him as a character and his sympathies. We have developed sympathies for him.
Right. Yeah. Because he's, if nothing else, he's very honest.
He is.
Yes.
He's not lying at all, ever.
This man is, he is a very autistic man. Oh man. There's a scene that comes up.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. We'll get to it. But
I mentioned, not even because I mentioned before we were recording, what if somebody made a biography of Aleister Crowley, who was theorized he was probably autistic.
Yeah.
He's more honest than Aleister ever was.
Yeah.
As a character.
I mean, off the jump, he's just like, look, I'm a weirdo.
Yeah.
He's absolutely honest with her in that scene where, before they go back to her place, and it's like, look, I need you to understand what you're getting involved with here.
Yeah. I found that works.
Yeah.
If you just let your partner know, hey, look, I'm fucked up.
Yeah. Just straight up.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been married 11 years. It's worked.
See, there you go.
I'm not trying to take, God's asshole's peyote and turn into a vortex yet. But we'll get there.
Oh, don't worry, you'll get there.
So we cut to the scene where he's giving a schizophrenic DMT.
Right.
Yeah.
As you do.
And it was funny. The first time I watched it, it didn't catch like dimethyl. I was like, okay, cool. It's a drug. I'm too high to fucking care what that is. And then like I watched it as I was taking notes. The second time, I was just sitting there going like, oh, DMT.
Yeah,
DMT.
And I'm like,
yeah.
You're like, oh, she's gonna feel euphoric for a half hour. I'm like, half hour? How much are you giving her?
Yeah,
yeah. This is another movie, and because the movie I picked, spoiler, it's The Cell. Oh God, this is.
Let's not.
Yeah, let's not. But the point is like this is a movie that like tries to explore schizophrenia as well, where it's like, and because of the time it was made, and they're like, we don't know what schizophrenia is.
The terminology
That's one of the
different.
things.
Yeah, it's evolved a lot since then.
Yeah.
But the one point that they're trying to make is he's saying that like schizophrenics, or there's a thought that schizophrenics are structurally different as people.
Yeah.
To actualize into something.
Which there are modern theories. There are modern theories that say that schizophrenia is just like it's if we're talking about like a scale of severity of neurodivergence, schizophrenia is just like on the far end of that scale.
Yeah.
So
there's like the other theory like we secrete the same chemicals in our brain that like when we imagine, like I could imagine something's there, not there, and it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean everything is a spectrum.
Everything. Point is, it's another movie that uses schizophrenia real hot and loose because for a really long time, that was kind of the catch-all for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And in this one, though, what he's saying is that they're tapped into something beyond.
Yeah.
He's seeing it as kind of a superpower in a way.
Well, almost like an evolution.
That's how we used to like treat schizophrenics. They used to be oracles. And because people believed that they were tapped into a sort of spiritual realm.
Well, fucking.
Now that we don't have like
He actually talks about that in Network when they're looking for replacement preachers.
Oh yeah,
right.
Nails it.
Man.
But it's anyway. So they have this conversation while this he's paying attention to the experiment. She kind of is like put off by the conversation they're having. Because he, every time she tries to open herself up to him.
Well, she gives this long speech about how much like she cares about him,
right?
And then his response is directly related to
the work.
Because that is like I've experienced this. This is autistic shutdown. You get late. You have
it's the way people are.
Pathological demand avoidance, and then you and when somebody lays something really emotionally heavy on you, you just immediately need to like dissociate and think about something else. Right?
It's
basically
because you have to process.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Well, it's basically her going like, "Hey, I think you're really special. I don't think there's anyone else like you. Like, I love you. I want to
like your steeds. Let's have some kids."
Yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot.
Meanwhile,
especially if you've only been dating her for 4 months, which this is.
Yeah, but because like she's enamored with him because she's right. There is really like no one else, but like she's laying all this on him. Meanwhile, he's like, so we shot up a schizophrenic with DMT, and some say that they're evolving and that they're physically different than other people. And she's like just looking dejected, and eventually.
Oh, then she sits outside, and
she sits outside
with her.
Yeah,
he goes outside because he knows.
And this is a really good like sympathy building moment for him because
it is.
I like this a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Because he starts off the same way. He's like
he's still talking about the experiment, but then he switches tracks back,
right?
Because he's trying to figure out what to say.
Yeah,
and he's like, "I'm not very good at this,"
And she gives him the space to do it. So it's like there's something very earnest about what's going on here that I really like. This part of their relationship is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's sweet, is what it is.
It like legitimately, it's like they like each other. This is nice.
Like he doesn't say I love you or anything.
But he says I'll marry you.
She literally says
I'll marry you. I guess.
She literally says an answer to that. I think that's the closest I'm going to get of a confession of love. And
she's right.
Absolutely.
And here's the funniest part: they have a marriage, they get married, and they have a whole marriage off screen. Cut to they're getting separated.
Yeah, 10 years later.
You want to talk about a time jump?
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like they're both like she's an anthropologist, he's like a psychologist, and he's like this. They're both doing very
They're very
well.
good at what they
brilliant.
do.
They're both brilliant.
Yeah, they are. They're both geniuses. They're both very good at what they do.
Yeah.
Like this is the kind of movie where they don't tell you that these people are brilliant. They kind of tell you the other characters are brilliant, in like short ways and small ways and stuff like that. But then they demonstrate it.
Yeah.
So she'll be talking about stuff that's way the fuck over your head about whatever, and but it makes sense. She's able to explain it to him because his expertise isn't that.
Yeah, it's funny because this movie actually does land like it characterizes scientists really accurately. Especially when we get to some of the other characters.
That is pretty well done.
Yeah,
another thing I'll say about this movie, it's definitely one of those ones that you're watching it and you look at how everybody looks and you just remember like they really would put anybody on screen back then. Like, and it doesn't matter. Like, you just look like a normal dude. Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah. And like, it's not even a couple of years later, William Hurt is in like Body Heat and he becomes a sex symbol.
Yeah. I mean, Dan's favorite character is basically looks like, as he would in life.
Arthur looks like he's 40, even though we know he's supposed to be like 27.
Exactly. And is he the one that, like, if he's not on screen being a smart doctor, then he's like got a whiskey in one hand and a cigar in the other? Like,
when I was watching this, there's a scene later in the film where he's staring directly into this light. And I was like, I've seen this fucking guy before. And then I looked it up, and he's Francois Truffaut's translator in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The exact same face. Into the fucking lights, and I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
He's been in a bunch of shit.
Like, he's been in tons of stuff, and
he's great.
He's a great actor, yeah.
This is also where we're meeting Mason.
Oh, yeah.
But I have it in my notes that this is literally like one of the most realistic depictions of scientists I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
I mean, because they can be talking about, their field of study. They're very, well informed about it. They're very erudite and scholarly about it. And then it moves on to something they know nothing about, and they're just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I mean,
and angry.
Yeah, angry and everything.
So angry.
Yeah.
Mason's someone who could fight you in an alley and then just rattle off like chemistry and physics you never even didn't know existed. He's a brilliant scientist. He's angry at these dumbasses. And we'll get to why.
Well, he's not angry yet.
He's not angry yet, but these are his friends and he cares about them. Again, really good characters. Really good.
This is like Thanksgiving, and the main thing is we find out that Eddie and Anna, right?
Or Emily.
Emily.
Yeah.
Eddie and Emily, there we go, are separating.
Yeah.
Which is, rightfully,
and it's told in this brilliant scene between Arthur and his wife, like as they're kind of like moving from room to room, and she's like sneaking sips of wine. I think
Patty Chayefsky has a way of like plotting out his scenes that feel very theatrical. Like this could be a stage play.
Yeah, they're really good though. I really do like that when films do that. Like they're all really well shot too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I like it. The dialogue's really good. You have these two incredibly intelligent people going through something like, he's being all autistic about it.
and he's saying, he's like, we're not getting divorced. We're getting separated. We'll probably get divorced next year because like I got to go off and do this thing in Mexico.
Because that's the reason why they're getting divorced.
Yeah. Guy in Boston, he's going to take me down to see the Bruja. And, like shit's going to go off.
Mind you, they have like two beautiful children already.
One of which is Drew Barrymore in her first cinematic.
Oh shit!
Yep.
I didn't even realize that.
Yep.
How could you?
Drew Barrymore and William Hurt were in the first same movie together.
That's funny.
It's one of the most 80s things ever.
Seriously.
It like starts the 80s like this.
Oh my God. But yeah, they're getting divorced because he's obsessed with finding out what quote unquote the first thought is. Like he wants to know. He basically wants. We must go deeper. He's
finding out that like this thing is the thing that he's doing in the sensory deprivation tanks is straight up regressing.
Also, he admits to his friend
to get through this. And hold on a second, I got to do this real quick.
Okay.
He's talking about fucking ancestral memory.
Yeah,
there's a thing that Alex Jones clings to.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, there is instinct. There are certain things that like we just like, it gets the hackles in the back of our neck up and stuff like that.
I mean, genetic memory is a thing. It's just it's just not the way that we think it is.
My Croatian ancestors aren't imbibing me with any special.
This isn't Assassin's Creed.
I like tomatoes and potatoes.
Yeah, this isn't fucking Abstergo.
Right. No, exactly. This isn't thank you. Yeah, this isn't that. He's trying to do that thing where, like people do like past life regression, which is,
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like leftover, like
the theory of genetic memory has existed for so long. And
at this point, this is 1977 where things are happening. So this is post-hippie. Everybody's into disco and cocaine.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of people doing psychedelics much anymore, the way they had been done.
Yeah.
Like, it's still going on, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's tons of acid rock bands and shit like that, but it's not like the Big Love Festival idea that everyone has of the 60s. That was like 4 months.
It's more about cocaine now.
Yeah, and even the concept of the sensory deprivation tank it's almost referred to like it's an anachronism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of those things. Yeah, I heard about those.
Even the movie kind of knew, bringing that up, Dan. It's like even the movie kind of admits that it's like that old thing.
Yeah,
which.
Oh well, I heard about that once.
Yeah, I like that actually because it keeps its own time frame. It keeps its own time in mind of like the passage of the story, which I like.
Yeah,
and
even like it seems like something. It seems like more of a fringe science.
Yeah.
Actually, that's the other thing that I wanted to say. Really. Reminded me this movie with the show Fringe. Fantastic sensory deprivation, especially the first season.
And fuck, Blair Brown is in that too.
Oh shit!
Whoa!
Yeah.
Oh well.
It all comes together.
Full circle.
Casting.
It's the Blair Browniverse.
Interesting.
He brings up like the idea of not race memory, but like ancestral memory. The idea of like. We're all just like, and there are some things that he is correct as like, energy doesn't die. So like the idea that like there has to be something that happens after we die because following the law. Because again, you have to remember, he's not an occultist. He's not like a drug dude. He's a scientist.
Yeah.
So he goes into it and he does say some things that are true. Energy doesn't die. Energy just doesn't go away. So what happens when we die? No idea. Like where does memory go? No idea. All that shit still has to be in our brain, all this other stuff. And also love that scene when he does break that down because they're just like all eating in a restaurant, like something that weirdly unlocks some sort of
they're
like
all a little tipsy,
some weird memory of mine from the past because these places used to exist where it's kind of like you're kind of in a bodega, but you're like just sitting in the middle of it with a restaurant, and that's the restaurant. You just
because they happen to serve food. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, no, that was fun. Back when New York had things.
And
anyway,
he's just wine drunk as fuck, and he describes
so drunk,
just so eloquently the way in which he intends to disappear into his own asshole. It's a beautiful scene
to the point where you're looking forward to the trip.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's great. It reminded me. It's funny because we were talking about this before, where I'm like, this is where he is the most occultist because he's just like a drunk asshole talking about like. Regressed lives and like, infinity and what happened before, meanwhile he's just
very, very existentialist thoughts. Doesn't he literally end his monologue with something like God's out there and I'm going to find the fucker?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes. I mean, he is heavily into at least the Christian religion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
Emily's got a great quote where she says that sex is a mystical experience for you. You carry on like a flagellant, which can be very nice, but I sometimes wonder if it's me you're making love to. I feel like I'm being harpooned by some raging monk in the act of receiving God.
That's incredible. I love that line.
I wrote that down because I literally paused the movie. It's like, what the fuck did she just say?
So good.
Yeah, that one
she delivered that just
very smartly.
Absorb that.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, it's also at this party that we meet Eduardo, who he's going to be traveling with for the first time.
Right.
Who is the most beautiful person in this fucking
Seriously.
movie? I mean,
Eduardo he shows up.
Okay,
who smell the cologne?
I mean, it's one of those things where Blair Brown is hot, but holy shit, who's that?
Yeah, who played Eduardo? Because looking at him, I'm like, it's going to turn out Eduardo's like Italian.
It's
Theo Penglis?
Theo Penglis.
Yeah.
It's THAAO PENGHLIS.
AKA some dude.
Australian actor.
Fucking hot dude just shows up. Boom. Hey, what up?
It's like, hey, we're going to Mexico.
He was on General Hospital.
Listener, look, it's stark when this guy appears. It's one of those things where you're like, what the fuck?
He's just there. It's just like, he's at the table.
Yeah, they don't introduce him. They talked about him, but then he shows up, and then
you don't know who he is. But
he's walking with Edward and Mexico.
And he looks all swarthy and dangerous.
Shirt unbuttoned.
He's got the like 80s shirt unbuttoned halfway down.
Oh,
I mean, he is one blazer short of being a Miami Vice. It's just
That's what I was thinking. Okay, tough guy. You know something about cocaine?
Yeah.
He didn't do that.
Well, he does.
He
Holy
does.
shit. So he takes him down to this shaman, this like bruja, who's going to be like, hey man, do you think that they'll let me? Like he goes down there and it's not even clear. He's like, oh yeah, well, do you think they'll let me in on the thing? And he asks the guy, and he's like, yeah, sure. What the fuck? Gringo can hang out.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I that's hard to believe. I think in real life.
Well,
I
not
mean,
at that time. Now, yeah, definitely.
okay, all right.
Now, because it's been like capitalism happened to it.
Yeah,
It's been
Back-
organized.
But back then,
appropriation.
when it was like actually considered like a religious experience, they're like, sure, why not?
And it'd be
you know?
rare for like a professor to like go down and
Yeah,
you know,
It's
yeah.
here where
Yeah.
where I think you get maybe he explains it where it's like the thing about these guys is they experience a hallucination together, like
yeah. That's
all on
what-
the same plane.
Yeah.
collective.
yeah, which is something that Eddie's interested in. He's interested in hallucinatory drugs that provoke common experiences
Yeah,
on
right.
multiple
Yeah.
people, which goes back to the DMT.
right.
Which I tried to write
that's-
down what he is ingesting, and
Yeah.
Well,
if I could find my notes.
I've got most of
basically,
it.
he
yeah.
asks him to describe it to him, and he's just like, it's like a return to the first soul. You propel into the void. You see a spot. The spot becomes a crack, and then the crack separates between the nothing and the unborn soul. So
I'm
it's
in.
like, right? Yeah, cool. Thanks, dude. How much for that quarter? Like, it's at this point you still don't quite know where this is going to bend. You know,
Yeah.
It's like, this is just the fucking gringo takes drugs.
because during my first viewing, that's kind because like so far I'm like, all right, I'm down what he's saying, but right now I'm still leery. You know what I mean? Because I had suspicions about this movie, wasn't sure. Oh boy,
Is it the cool fight is here, guys? Like
yeah. No. It's a good setup. It's actually like this is like the movie's already because we had a little bit of hallucinatory. Like again, the film was really well shot.
Yeah,
So-
you had some I think one hallucination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think
Not even that because we did get a hallucination. That was awesome.
yeah,
but
the whole
like,
in the first tank, it's all like Ace of Aces. I saw the sign. Cross turning in the sky
But
and
even the build
Even-
up to this was
Yeah,
really
even in
cool.
like the visions of the death of his father, where he sees like burning crucifixes in his father's image, like
Oh,
Some of the
imprinted
greatest
upon what
images of
is
hell ever committed to
yeah,
film.
obviously
Oh,
a
man.
shroud of Turin.
yes.
Yeah.
So you know,
There's like a
Oh,
book
right. I forgot that
with,
bit.
with like the multi-eyed goat, and he has to kill the goat. And open. It's awesome. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
No, it
Um,
is a lot.
it's very
It's a lot.
And the way, does that hallucination occur before he goes to Mexico?
that's
Is that-
before.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
just-
just-
yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
We were
was
throwing it
before.
back.
He's
Yeah.
hallucinating, but yeah,
I'm saying
it's-
we've already
no,
had some-
that's.
And then when he gets
wild,
out of
and
the
it
tank,
does-
he breaks it
tells
all
you his
down.
story. And how?
Yeah,
how
hold on, one at a time.
sorry.
We're saying the same thing in different words. Just
Yeah, go
when he
ahead.
gets out of the tank, he breaks it all down. Like everything, like he knows what he saw. He's not going to go become a cult. But as you were saying too, same thing.
Yeah, fuck. I don't know. No, I mean it's very well shot, and it tells you what you need to know, and the fact that he kind of like decodes it for you afterwards,
right.
is
Even
Exactly.
like, I mean, it's a really good depiction of a drug trip, I guess is what I'm saying.
well, even before he takes it, because we get this shot of them just because it's all like we're looking outside from a cave, and it's just them. They're just black silhouettes just walking towards the camera with the light in the background. And
You've
just
never had
building up.
that experience before, you
I
Take
He's
like
not
that
tripping
away.
yet. He's not even tripping yet.
Well,
This
there's
Oh, right,
something
yeah.
there's something about like sometimes I don't know, I notice that when I'm anticipating something like this, I get excited, and then that kind of distorts my own view.
Oh
of
yeah.
things.
When you're like approaching the rave and
You ever
just hear
take
the
like shrooms,
on the
and then
outside,
it's like, have you ever taken shrooms, and then it feels like that
Yes.
scene in Devs where
No.
they know
I
everything that's going to happen in the day.
Nope.
haven't
no,
seen
I
that.
Nope.
did have like
You-
an
you-
out body experience.
Yeah.
Look
You
at
collapse your own
poster
wave
once,
theory
but-
there. So.
Yeah, that's that's a thing that happens to me when I take shrooms. Is like I just kind of like I feel like everything that happened before this was leading up to this moment. This was inevitable.
Yeah, where you can separate the time behind you in front of you like that. I feel you.
Yeah.
It is my destiny to make this sandwich.
It is my destiny to take these drugs.
Yeah, that's for me. That's the moment when the light gets a different quality. It kind of.
It's funny too because they do that in this film.
Yes, they do.
The best way possible.
Yeah.
There's a couple scenes in the beginning where, like, especially like at the party, at the very first thing, when he opens the door and for no fucking reason at all, he is silhouetted against a white light behind him.
It's like,
this movie is very dreamy, and I think what I wanted to say was it really comes in the wake of like new wave science fiction, where everybody was kind of like starting to think, it was the 70s, the 60s, and the 70s, so everybody was on hallucinogenics, and then they started thinking, what if you can take a drug that will bring someone from a parallel universe into your own?
Yeah.
Philip K. Dick kind of shit. Like Flow My Tears, the policeman said.
Because that's like the hallucinatory. With this,
or like the Three Sigmata of Palmer.
Yeah. With this, it feels more like symbolic, where it's trying, like with him when he walks in and she sees him for the first time. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna marry that man. It's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it's also interesting because they'll do that at least 2 more times, I think, in the film for different reasons.
Yeah,
they do.
Yes. Oh shit, that's right. That's a really good callback, actually. Now that that you mention it,
so
I didn't even think about that.
Now we're at this point where these guys are all sitting around and they're putting the most viscous black paste.
It's cool.
Mud cake shaman looking guys are.
It's cool. This made me feel better about the film.
And they're putting each in turn their own elements to it. Yeah, they got this like stuff, mushrooms, and
caps, a lot of caps,
dandruff, whatever. Like they're just putting everything in.
Just make
belladonna.
Make a stew of it, man.
The last guy's holding this like root, and he tells Eduardo, like, "Hey, hold your palm, hand up and hold this root." And he like hands him and interlocks his fingers, and then grabs this fucking knife and cuts him like in the worst part of the hand to bleed.
I know.
In the movie cut,
come on,
it's not movie meat of the fingers, but it's like along like the palm of the between the middle.
It's going to take months to heal.
Yeah, that's a really shitty thing to do. And then I get a few drops out of it. I'm like, dude, there's a ton of places you could have cut this motherfucker. And he probably
maybe you know what? Maybe it was about like the pain, though. Maybe that was part of the point.
Maybe
none of them did.
Sure.
What?
None of them did it.
Well, they wanted the white man.
Maybe they did it already and they were waiting for him, and that's why.
Fuck with them. I would.
Maybe.
But so they all in turn imbibe the belladonna infused. What was else? Scopolamine.
Belladonna, atropine, and scopolamine.
I've had scopolamine before. And,
the zombie drug.
Yeah,
I got a note here about that.
Very light.
It says, "Bro trips balls."
And keep in mind that atropine is also a belladonna. So
so you're just drinking straight poison at this point. Because like when they describe what's in it, because he asks his translator like, "What's in this stuff?" and he tells him, and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't think any of those do what we just saw. I don't think
together. Well, I mean, the weird. I mean, we talk about. Like all like hallucinogens are basically a toxin. Your reaction your body has to processing it is the thing that is happening to you, right?
Yeah.
Belladonna, on the other hand, is like literally nature's Russian roulette.
Yeah, it's straight poison.
Like you really don't know. Like you're either going to have like Tryptolate Fantastic, or you're just fucking dead on the
Didn't
spot.
Didn't they say Amanita muscaria too? Isn't that in there?
I think right.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the red spotted mushroom.
Which drug does excellent use of sparks?
Because they set some fireworks off in this.
Oh
my God.
And this is
a really cool moment.
Really well seen.
It's really cool.
And this is kind of where you might want to watch this with like headphones on, because they do
Good
this
sound.
binaural thing.
Great sound.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and it's.
There are actual sparks going off in the room while he's like...
Yeah, and he's like trying to put him out of
them.
Yeah.
William Hurt does his own stunts.
And he reacts as though he's tripping. Like, it's good. It's a great scene.
You start hearing like popping in your left ear and then popping in the right. And
it's
then,
good. Yeah.
This is a great way to like ease into the disorientation of what comes after this.
Well, and it's accurate too, because that's just kind of how it starts when you doing
You're
that.
doing one of these world-ending type trips.
Yeah.
Because it just kind of bleeds
mushroom
into your
magic.
reality.
Yeah.
Because, dude, the sound of how to like emphasize that his brain is like sparking is incredible. It's an incredible sound effect.
He sees all this shit. He sees like
tribes, like this is the tribal
volcanoes exploding.
This
mushroom imagery, mushroom cloud imagery.
Oh yeah, right.
Hallucinations gets very Kenneth Anger student.
What'd you say?
Film.
Yeah, sorry.
This set hallucinations gets very Kenneth Anger, very student film.
Yeah.
But in a good
there's the scene where like
very
and
cool.
Emily are feeding each other like sorbet.
Yeah, and they're like wearing Victorian clothing in the middle of a
sitting on a
field.
patio or some shit.
Yeah, they walk towards a nuclear blast at one point.
Little 2001 Space Odyssey thrown in.
Oh yeah.
There's the monitor lizard that Emily turns into in this trip becomes one of the coolest fucking scenes in the movie.
I imagine that this is what ayahuasca would be like.
I think this is better than ayahuasca. I think that because like the ego death like dust of like them turning to dust.
So incredible.
No, they literally turn and they start laying down in the middle of this desert. And
just anytime a movie decides to go really quiet or like darken the screen,
lasts forever.
It's so good,
but not in a bad way.
No. You're going through something by watching it.
No, I'm just saying this is why it feels accurate, or it seems like it would. This seems accurate in a way to what a lot
I don't know how accurate it is, but this isn't my.
Yeah, I don't know what accurate means here.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I mean, right? Is
all I know is
it feels good.
From a film point of view, because I've seen like the whole turning to dust thing before in another psychedelic movie. This one in a modern one too.
Yeah,
this
one's Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Yeah. All of a sudden, very rapidly. No, in this one is done better because something about the lighting, the colors, the wind, the moment that
multi-camera setup.
The
way these
how everything looks like
the wind waste away slowly based on where the wind is hitting them and stuff.
It becomes like abstract art after a while, and then his brain backfires, and I think he ate a lizard.
Standing over a dead Komodo dragon.
That's an action
filling out.
Apparently he kills a sacred monitor lizard, and apparently he is
everybody's like, not cool, bro. Like, not cool. Everyone's standing around looking at the dead lizard.
It's like everybody's having a good time, drinking their Miller Lights, and then this asshole had to jump on the table.
Because he asked him, like, what did I do? He's like, I don't know. You just stared off into the distance, ran out screaming. I go out, and you killed the lizard.
Yeah, we heard dogs, and then...
Yeah.
He's like, I don't remember doing it, so I couldn't be responsible. You know, like, that kind of bullshit.
No, exactly. He's a real dick about it.
He does.
He's got the whole thing of like, what did I do when I was drunk last night? Oh, I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
I like Eduardo's reaction. Is like, well, if you hated it so much, why are you taking home samples?
Just calls him on his bullshit. I love it.
Yeah,
I mean that's one thing I do love about the scientists in this movie. They call each other on their bullshit.
Oh yeah, especially Mason. Mason out of the gate is just like,
Mason,
don't do that, and then he sticks around.
Fucking get a T-shirt with Mason on it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I fucking love that character so goddamn much.
Mason is because they're his friends. He's such a good character.
I literally have the third note on this page is Mason is literally the best. Like,
yes. Oh yeah.
In my notes, I literally have Dr. Mason is the fucking hero of this entire movie.
Oh yeah. He cares about his friends. He's like, because they get back, and they're giving him the substance, and he's tripping balls. But they're showing Mason this time because again, he's like he's a doctor. He's a chemist.
Like Doctor's trying to explain to him what this is, and they're just going to show him.
And Mason's like, what is this bullshit? Are you stupid? What is this? It's going to give you cancer. And he's mad about it. He's like, you fucking yelling. He's like,
do you know what this does? Do you know anything about this substance? Like, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like, you could borrow my lab and like slice as many mice as you need to figure this out.
And he's right. He's right about everything.
Yeah, he's 100% right.
Mason is never wrong throughout this movie.
No, he's never wrong.
And he's also like, he basically just plays the part of Mr. Government here.
Yeah.
Not even. These are his friends.
Like sensible.
Yeah,
he's like a sensible friend.
Yeah,
these are his friends, and he doesn't want them to hurt themselves.
He also totes his authority a lot, though.
True.
He puffs out his chest. But the thing is, he so quickly. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Shadowlink.
It never works. It never works. They literally laugh at him.
Well, he doesn't fold. He keeps showing up, dude.
Yeah.
He knows these guys are going to do this shit anyway, but he's putting up a good argument so that he can sleep at night.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way I see it, the reason he's like lauding his authority is because among the scientific group that he is a part of, he literally is the most qualified scientist.
Yes,
absolutely.
I mean, like you said, he publishes 2 or 3 papers per year, which is more than these wackos are publishing. I mean, he's doing actual scientific work.
He's like the president of 3 organizations and shit. And all this other stuff. He's the bomb. He's incredibly fucking qualified.
Yeah.
And he's like, listen, guys, listen.
Yeah.
I run teams who do crazy shit. You're not doing this right. You know, from the halting problem at the beginning of you need to test the substance on, he's correct about everything.
Absolutely.
Because you're just injecting some random fucking poison into yourself, and he's worried he's going to get cancer.
And this revelation hallucination is metal as fuck.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, also we get to establish too.
About it is
we get to establish too how much he's an asshole. Is this when we learn he's sleeping with the students?
Yeah.
No, he's not yet.
Not yet.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, he's still on this thing. He's still trying to get Mason roped into this a little bit. Arthur tries to explain to Mason what the fuck this is.
Yeah.
This is while the trip is going on. Arthur's just so he's taking this drug and we got it in Mexico. Blah, blah, blah. And Mason, he's literally the best because the entire time he's like, what the fuck? He has something good to say at every step of this process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Ed knows he has visions, but he can't see them. He wants to break through this barrier. And Mason wants to test the fucking substance, but he still thinks it's stupid. He's like, and he still shows up to keep an eye on these sorcerers.
Yeah.
Designated driver.
He's so great.
That's the thing. That's the thing that got me, because there is a lot of, especially when we get to the end. There's a lot of tons of cult thinking and religious thinking from different religions too, because they all kind of mash together at some point. Because again,
at the beginning you had the 7-eyed goat.
Yeah. Well, even he's even talking about Buddhism too with his father, because his father's basically that was emphasizing that all life is suffering, which is something Buddha said, and he's right. But then we get into other things, and it's fascinating.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in this film.
There's a lot going on in that moment. Yeah. And then he just so he brings Mason, and they go to they find this other.
I hope your sensory deprivation tank Zero looked better than this one.
It actually looked much more modern than this one did.
Yeah, this looked foamy and just welded together.
Yeah. It's a box.
It's caked with salt.
Yeah, that one did also look like the one from Fringe. I think they both look kind of janky like that.
Yeah,
the same prop. I don't know.
Could have been.
Yeah. And so he's in there, and Eddie's he checks on him at one point. He opens the door and he's like, "You okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right." And he closes the door, and moments later, Eddie starts screaming. He's like, "I'm becoming one of them. I'm killing a goat."
Yeah, some pretty good narration there.
Oh, it's fantastic when he's kind of speaking out
some
of his visions.
Lots of goats in this movie.
Yeah.
Lots of goat imagery.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's revelation for you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, all of his beliefs are merging, as well as his regressions. And when the session ends here, Ed's mouth is just covered in blood, and he's nonverbal.
Oh,
It's one of the craziest moments in the fucking movie.
Because he's trying to describe what he's seeing.
Well, he makes a sound at some point over the speakers.
Oh yeah. Because he's trying to describe what he's seeing. He's like, I don't know, I'm hairy. I'm small. I'm shorter than I was. He's basically describing. I forgot what it was called. Because
before he gets to any of this, he's gesturing with a paper and a pen because he wants to get blood.
I was talking about when he was in the tank. He's in the tank trying to describe where he's I'm covered in hair. I'm shorter than I would be. He's basically describing one of our early ancestors.
And keep in mind that sound that he makes becomes important later on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Because
it's not just a guttural scream or something like that.
It's not a kid playing monkey. This is something.
Yeah. Because then he just literally describes, I'm killing a goat, I'm eating it, then they pull him out of the tank.
They pull him out of the tank. He's covered in blood. He's making this. He doesn't know how to speak sound. Kind of.
It's unpleasant.
It's not great.
Yeah. I mean, at
he's
first
asking
it's kind of
pen and paper, and they get it to him.
You might think he's trying to
making
chew
a list
his
of
tongue
shit.
off.
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
At first, you thought he chewed his tongue off.
Right.
Yeah.
Mason's a
He's got
doctor,
blood
so
pouring down his
checking all
face.
this shit.
Yeah. Of all of them, Mason, I think Mason's the only MD.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
And, I mean, what a good guy to have in your pocket. It's like being a raver and having a friend that's an electrician. It's fucking
Mason is a man who could beat you close to death and then keep you alive after. Like the dude is
teach
gigantic.
you the lesson. Yeah.
He smokes cigars, he drinks, he's a huge dude, and he's also like a PhD and an actual doctor.
Actually, I had a friend just like that. He was an EMT. We used to go to parties with all the time.
Yup.
Oh, this guy's incredible. So, like, he makes a list, and he's like, he can't speak, but he can write. Okay, so this will tell you something. So he's putting in, he wants blood types, he wants tests on this shit, he wants pictures of his neck, quote, before I reconstitute, which is a crazy thing for me.
Incredible line.
X-ray.
Incredible.
X-ray.
Not a word that you typically pull out.
No. Yeah. And Ed thinks he's reverting back to a human, and Mason thinks he's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, so we cut to, he finally talks, he's like, give me the fucking x-ray. And he's like, all right, fine. And then enter John Larroquette.
All right.
Probably not his first movie, but he's only in this like moment where he's this x-ray tech.
Radiologist.
The Wissenschaft.
Right. And fucking, what's his name?
George
Mason.
Gaines is Dr. Wissenschaft, yeah.
We'll get to that guy.
Yeah.
He's the best line in the movie.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, we gotta get an x-ray of this guy like immediately who's reading tonight. And Ed's like, all right, fine. He's explaining, I reverted back to like a semi-simian, and Mason's like, the fuck you did, you know? Like,
He's like, yeah, no, I stood upright. We were up. I was upright.
Yeah.
Bipedal, like
walking.
early. Yeah, there was no knuckle walking. I was an early. I forgot what it was called. Of course, I knew this at some point.
Well,
like,
he's
an
I
early
think
human.
they literally use the term proto-human.
Yeah, he's not at the point where like he could be considered human, but he is
not completely.
It's
human.
our ancestor. Yeah.
But
and he says, he's like, they get the prints taken, right? And you know, they're like kind of looking at it, and he's like, we got to get an eyes, you know, like a pro's eyes on these prints, because even though he's that well qualified, he's so qualified, he understands the purview of his like abilities.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want a guy who does this to look at this, and they find this. This is one of the best lines in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Who is this guy? He's Dr. Wissenschaft, George Gaines, right?
What
was
George
he
Gaines
known for?
George Gaines is you probably best know him as the commandant in the first Police Academy movie.
Oh my god! Oh my fucking god!
I wasn't.
That dude.
Oh my fucking god! I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that ages. That's funny as fuck.
What did I say about this being like one of the most 80s movies ever?
I just fell
Holy
through
shit!
my chair into another existence for a split second. I was shook. Anyway, so he takes a look at these. He's like, "What the fuck is this? Why are you saying
Prints, X-rays, yeah."
Yeah, and he's like, well, you know, like he explains to him. He's like, well, this is what this is supposed to be. Turns to him and says, "This guy's a fucking gorilla."
Yeah.
It's so good
because he has like an early. We don't have them anymore, but we used to have like an organ sac in our throat. That used to be how we could vocalize.
Or maybe it was just like how the chest went, or
it was something.
Like, I don't know what it was either. You know?
Yeah. Point is,
he's just like, this ain't a guy.
Yeah, like we don't have them anymore. So like,
go ahead.
Go. No,
I was just gonna say, to Mason's credit, I mean, Mason is like the only scientist here, because Mason's like he keeps saying, "You're fucking crazy. You're fucking, you bit yourself." Well, no, you didn't bite yourself. Whose blood is this? This isn't your blood. Okay, what the fuck is going on? I'm going to have someone read these x-rays, and oh shit, these x-rays say something totally different. I mean, Mason is like taking in the truth, even though he doesn't believe any of it.
And I thought it was
keeps getting presented with evidence to the contrary, and he's like, okay, well, that's the goddamn evidence. What the hell?
Burns the rag.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. He burns the rag that he used to wipe his mouth, because this is the only time he does this, but it's like the idea of like that he can't bring himself to believe it.
Yeah, he absolutely cannot.
To the point where he's kind of burning a little bit of evidence from it.
Yeah.
Eventually he has no choice, but it's kind of like that, where it's like it's just flat refusal. Cannot believe that this is happening.
And he's still trying to justify it in some medical terms. He says that Eddie had a TIA stroke, which is transient ischemic attack. I've actually seen one of those up close and personal. They're not great. They're not fun, but they do exactly what you kind of see there. Sometimes it only lasts a few minutes.
Man, this fucking writing.
Yeah, it doesn't cause long-term damage, but even then...
So we find out Ed's fucking a student.
Yeah.
Now,
This is
at this point in the movie, you haven't realized he's a piece of shit.
yes, he's a teacher.
This kinda
He's,
confirms
again, psychologist, professor, brilliant teacher. He again, this is like the most occultist he'll ever be because he's also like, oh yeah, he's also doing immoral things too. We learn he's just fucking his students because he's divorced and why not?
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
he has no.
I don't even know if
divorced.
they're actually divorced.
They're separated.
They're
Yeah,
quote unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And again, he's not emotional. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's everything but the paperwork now. So.
Yeah, he's not emotionally invested in this person at all.
Yeah.
She does not have a
Well, she literally calls him
Professor.
professor. Yeah. But we also get one of the best.
Yeah, no.
We also no. I need to describe this scene because this is what I would have done as well. He's laying in bed with the student he fucked, and suddenly his body's going through what we can call some changes. He is bloating, morphing, mutating with some of the best practical effects. His body is bulging,
really well done.
And he does what I would have done if I woke up suddenly and my body was doing this. I check my dick to make sure it's okay. Because that's the first thing he does is look under the blankets, and I'm like, right on, buddy. Same. So
but also his like belly and ribs are like
Like,
so
good.
He has to go have a cold shower of bloody nose monkey foot.
His return to monkey,
Which is a fantastic drink.
It's so good.
Run into the bathroom suddenly.
Yeah.
So he's just mutating. His feet become monkey for like a little bit.
He's fighting it.
He's fighting it.
He's got
Goes
some
out of
hairy feet. He's got some
He's also
bubbling,
kind of getting a kick out of it.
bubbling sores on his arm.
The thing about this scene, it's not just the practical effects, but it's the way that William Hurt kind of moves with
Oh my god, yeah.
the thing,
Absolutely.
and the way that it's shot as well. That it all lends
Absolutely.
its visual spectacle.
Yeah, because it's in this like half light. It's pretty horrific.
Yeah.
Also, Coinops, you're right. He does get a kick out of it with the feet. Like he does start laughing because what else the fuck are you going to do?
I was like, oh my god, prehensile thumbs on my feet. Do you imagine how many bottles I'll be able to hold?
So he comes out of the shower, and you're thinking, oh, monkey opens the door. Hell.
Bathroom door is the gate to hell.
Hell.
But it's usually the other way. I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, toilets can be pretty demonic, but we have to make them demonic.
It's been a couple weeks. Anyway.
But again, best, like you were saying, best depiction. I'm just ignoring it. Best depiction of hell in a movie.
It's up there with like the black hole.
It is. It's just.
It is some Dante's Inferno goodness.
It's great. It's great. Oh my god. This is literally. I've seen so many satanic movies and like horror movies with the devil and demons in it, and none of them come close to the fucking satanic imagery in this movie.
No, absolutely not. This one does it so well. It's just it's bodies. It's screaming. People are jumping into lava. Lava is falling. It's red. It's so red.
Fantastic. It triggers something very old and Catholic in me. It's great.
Right?
It's great. It's really good. It's one of the better depictions of hell because it's just so in your face with it. It's so like revelation,
it's
biblical,
literally
in a way that's like Renaissance, you know?
Yeah. Some real fire and
I'm
brimstone.
wondering if it's stock footage from some ancient.
I thought too.
I was saying it feels a little more like. Again, I keep Kenneth Anger, but satanic, imagery and film like that. Absolutely.
It's like I just got through Doom Eternal and hell in that game, like the hell planet in that game. I had to tie it in somewhere, but the depiction of the hell planet in that game did not come close to this because it's like so much suffering, just concentrated.
Oh man!
And how does he
if only there was a crazy guy with a fucking chainsaw running around. I mean,
it is very Dante's Inferno. Like the screaming sounds like singing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How does he get out of it? He shuts the door again. I don't remember.
I don't either. I just remember they cut to Emily returns with the kids. Like he's going to get back in bed with the student, and his arms like still pumping a little bit.
Yeah, Zach. I was going to say there was one part before that where he sits down and his arm is still doing shit, and he starts taking notes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And then Emily returns with the kids, and they're at the airport. And then Ed finds out, like later, they're having a little conversation where they're catching up. Excellent writing. And Ed finds out that Mason's been keeping her up to date, and they're both a little bit concerned about these monkey trips.
Yeah.
They're like, "You all right, dude? You know, like, I'm just concerned." Like, he says that he could take you and get you a full checkup at the hospital, and you won't take the time to do it, dude. That's like an afternoon. What's your fucking problem? He's like, "I don't need it." And this is where, like, if you still haven't figured out that Ed's kind of a dick, he wants Emily to look at his data, and she agrees, but then he's an asshole about it.
Yeah.
And he's really insistent on seeing her data because she's like, what is she? Yeah. She's like,
she's an anthropologist.
Yeah.
But when she gets back, but when she gets back, what's happened is while she was in Africa, she actually got totally into a totally different thing. And now she's fascinated with like the social lives of baboons. So she's got tons of recordings of baboon noises and mating calls and all of that.
Yeah. And he said he made a sound that he'd like her to hear as well as all the other data.
Yeah. Because at this point, they think he's having a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Because they think that, like, okay, we want you to get some help. You know, we think, you know, because they're not the believing stage yet. They think he's gone insane, like actually gone insane.
Well, and Ed's got this mentality about this, like trying to find the first thought through all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's like he's like a day and a half away from the release of a video game he pre-ordered.
Well, it's like he wants to go deeper. He needs to go deeper into the visions. He needs to keep
he
doing
just wants it now, though. He can't wait. He can't let fucking Mason take the test. He can't get a physical done.
Oh, that's the thing. It's the conceit. The conceit that's a big pain in the ass about it, you know?
It's
so much hubris.
What's the first thought? I'm hungry. Let's kill something with a rock. That's the first thought.
Yeah. Oh, and here's the thing. Now, before we recorded this, we had talked about this a couple of times and stuff about the way Emily had been written throughout the course of this movie. And here's the thing. I think actually, and I watched this, you know, like when I took notes, I watched it again. I kind of paid a little bit more attention to her because when you're just watching this movie for the first time, you're taken by Ed and his journey and his obsession and the fact that he's turning into Monke. Mm-hmm. She's actually brilliantly written and kind of taken back a level. Like her place is there to fuck with you later and that you missed this. Because the thing about Ed, the thing that makes him just a total piece of shit up to this point is the fact that he just consistently discounts Emily's interest, either by talking about his own project or, in this instance, he says she's being patronizing.
Yeah.
Which is insane to say. Like, that's such a shitty thing to say to this woman who... He's an asshole.
He's
pretty narcissistic, and this is where you see it at the Pretty Bear.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Especially when
it's not that kind of it's not that kind of like pop star kind of narcissism. It's more like a singular obsession, sort of like the only thing that is important is the mission, and even if someone who loves me gets in the way, I have to like.
And she does
sacrifice it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, right now it's just very one-sided. Is like she loves this dude. She's over the moon for him.
She does.
She even
trusts him.
And he even says when they were like in the hallway where he confesses his love for her, it's like, there's no one else like you, and I will never meet another person or have this opportunity to be with a person like you. And that comes out of his mouth, you know. But
he's aware of it.
Yeah, he's aware of it, and because she's incredible. But he's so up his own ass with this.
Yeah,
he's just ignoring. He has 2 fucking kids. Yeah, he's busy sleeping with students and getting high.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's turning into a monkey, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So things happen. She's gonna go have dinner with the kids, and then he decides he's gonna hit the tank by himself. And so Ed, returns to Monke, man.
Let me get the regression in for dinner.
He goes all in on this shit. He turns into the little guy. He pops out of the tank, and then
hairy arm comes
gets
out.
like spooked by some sounds, and he decides to he opens the door to the lab and gets totally terrified by the monkey guy who just runs out screaming.
Yeah. I think he's credited as primal man, but he is kind of a monkey man, and it's a little silly but not in a bad way.
Yeah, it is a little silly, but it's still like fucking chilling because it is an absurd situation. It seems like this should not be happening at all.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? What? There's
Well,
a
it's
monkey
the
man in the
opposite of,
basement?
it's the opposite of the Hulk.
Yeah.
We're so used to like, oh, he can grow bigger. That doesn't, not make sense. And then like, why can't he get smaller and turn into this?
I like it too because you could tell like he is supposed to be like a weird mutant cross between a normal sized person and like an early like proto human because they were short. Yeah. They were like children's size by comparison today. He is he is a hunched man who was turned into a monkey. He's terrible. He is funny. Look, you put a monkey though into anything, and I'll fucking watch it and enjoy it.
I was gonna say it starts a little silly, but then it takes a turn.
Yes.
Yeah. No, he like barely gets away, and then the security guy comes out. He opens the door. And
I love this guy. The maintenance guy.
This sound. He makes this sound. It's like rah! And he runs off, and I guffawed. Like I was like,
it's like. I want to imitate it, but I don't know if that's
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you almost think it was like an improvisation they just kept in the movie. Fuck.
And here's a really great 80s moment that is going to feel like an anachronism to anyone alive today. The guard, when he calls it in, he doesn't reach for his pistol. He reaches for his club.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any armor on.
Oh man.
Yeah.
He's not like tacked the fuck out for a security guard.
He's the time period, but also he's like a security guard for like
he's
a laboratory. Yeah. Do you even have a gun?
I think he did, but he doesn't. He never goes for it. It's just on his hip.
Yeah. Okay.
He didn't have the budget for
remember.
that.
Yeah. For all he knows, like a research monkey got loose or something.
That's what they think, and they go down into like the boiler room with all the pipes. And again, the guy who's playing Monkey Man, who told
his name is Miguel Goudreau. He was like a dancer.
Yeah, he was a ballet dancer,
athlete.
And going back to the very thing that we started talking about this, he wasn't the writer wasn't having a conversation with Irvin Kershner. He was having a conversation with Bob Fosse.
That's right.
Yeah, which
that's
massive,
incredible physical
choreographer.
Incredible physical acting.
His upper body strength is incredible. Like, he's not a big guy. He does some really amazing, man.
Like some gymnastic shit. Like fucking.
Yeah, let me fast forward.
There is
so much happens so fast.
The part where he like raises himself by the arms into the rafters. It's echoed perfectly. It's like shot for shot in The Fly.
This dude climbs up a smooth wall.
Yeah,
and it's just
it has pipes.
I don't.
He's
on the pipes.
Fucking spry.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Like he just slithers up a wall and that's it. Like
his upper body
so
strength.
What happens next is Monkey beats the shit out of the guard, bonks the guy.
Yeah.
Is chased by two more guards, gets outside, is chased by dogs, hops a fence onto a zoo where he eats a gazelle after encountering a rhino and elephants. And he wakes up naked in the morning covered in blood.
We've all.
Exactly.
The cool thing that made me laugh was the when he gets into the zoo, you don't really know what's going on. He just he's fucking running and he's running, and the dogs are after him. He jumps over a fence, and suddenly,
rhino. Yeah,
there's a rhino with the horn cut off.
Yeah.
And the bit with the fence is great because he goes and grabs it, gets shocked, and then he immediately gets really close to it and figures it out, and then he climbs up. And this bit here, he climbs up this tree, and then he goes out on this branch, and he's holding it like a squirrel does. And all I can think of is, how are you still upright? How are you not hanging upside down like a fucking sloth? Like, that's incredible athleticism.
Oh, yeah.
And then, sometimes you just got to get bailed out of jail for science. You don't make a big deal out of the fact that they find him with a gutted gazelle, next to him, covered in fucking blood and naked at the zoo.
Yeah.
Mason and Emily bail him out.
Sometimes you get away. You just get away with shit.
And the way Eddie walks out of the cell is just like, they caught me. Well, shucks.
He fucking admits I might have killed a man.
Yeah, I might have killed a man.
You have to understand, he took the club away from the security guard and beat him over and over in the head.
That's the part where I was like, oh, this is so cute.
Yeah. That's where it takes the turn and it starts getting real, kind of fucked up.
It's all fun until somebody gets a cracked skull.
It's like a nightmare on both, from both perspectives, because it's you're this monkey man and you're in the middle of this industrial nightmare. And so what the fuck is happening?
So you're trying to process things that you know with a mind that doesn't know them.
Yeah.
Good way to put it.
Very good way to put it, actually.
Yeah.
And thank you.
On acid in Pittsburgh.
Well,
and it's like
the
a
dog chase him because they're like eating out of garbage cans, and then someone like shoos them off, and then they start chasing Monkey Man or the Primal Man.
He fights one with a stick.
Yeah.
I like too, like as a one-off line, they do say that the security guard was in the hospital. He didn't kill him.
Yeah.
But I thought that.
So basically, he gets back and and I note here, like every time Emily is expressing emotion, Ed starts talking about like anything else.
Yes.
So like Emily looks into his data. Like she's like losing her shit too.
Yeah.
And she dreams of Monkey, and then she's convinced and is absolutely not down with it. Like I am convinced that you're right, Edward, but I don't like it. Like, don't do this. Okay.
Oh yeah, because it's driving her crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Ed wants to reach the first thought, whatever that is.
Oh,
it's just
man.
like basically me in the morning farting. It's like, all right, cool.
Because doesn't she say that it's like it's either this is real or I'm insane, basically. Like, and they all eventually.
They're going to do the test again, and this time they're all there. Emily's there, Arthur's there, Mason's there, and Mason has the best line. He's like, "You coming out of that thing looking like some monkey? I'm going to commit myself to the local sanitarium."
Yeah.
It's
and
like
somehow
it would be like on like the day of the rapture, right? All these people are like flying into heaven. That's me right there, being like, well, I guess I gotta go get some Thorazine.
Because like something worse than Monkey happens. That's the thing that's funny too.
Yeah.
Something something somehow weirder than turning into a monkey.
Shit goes so fucking amazingly beautifully sideways.
Oh man,
it's amazing.
It's so fantastic.
For anyone who's watched up to this point who thinks the movie might have been like a little slow or not worth the sit through, absolutely.
It picks up real fucking quick.
Act 3 is like Dead Leaves.
It's bad shit. It's bad shit.
It's insane. It's a really, really fast like half hour.
Honestly, guys, at this point, I thought he was just gonna like come out as like as ooze, and he sort of does.
Yeah.
It pretty much. Yeah. Well, hang on. Is there any?
So shit goes sideways, right?
Yeah.
Things are going bad. Mason gets the door open at one point. He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's like, "I'm doing okay." And he closes the door. Oh, what was that?
He took too much.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, he's hitting rock bottom here.
He's having a real bad time with things. He's talking about stuff, and then he's making the sounds, and then Mason gets the door open. Right, he's having a hard time opening it, and this light hits him, and it throws him against the wall.
It's an extremely psychedelic experience.
Totally.
Well, yeah, right now it's all physical though. Like Emily is stunned because these force waves are hitting, and
like the tank just disappears.
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
So like
it doesn't get that crazy quite yet.
She gets stunned, and then like Arthur and Mason are out cold, and she comes to, and she's trying to like get the door open, but the glass is blown out because of the force wave. So she just like she jumps through the window, and the chamber within it, it's still there, but it's like translucent. You can see this like bulged up entity kind of inside of it that's kind of like pulsing light, and then the chamber becomes a fucking
protoplasm or something, right?
Yeah. Something. The room warps. Like there's this force that's like does
that's a really good effect, I think.
And that's what blows the windows out. And then she jumps into the vortex looking for Eddie, and then we get the most fantastic psychedelic shit ever.
And it's such a vortex, like literally a vortex. They made like a misty whirlpool in this room for this shot.
This is what
it's so cool.
This is absolutely. Incredible. This captures the feeling of a bad trip very well.
Yeah, it's so weird, and she goes into it. She just goes into this vortex that her ex-husband has become.
She rides the whole thing down.
Yeah, really doesn't hesitate.
Yeah.
And again, just not to harp on it, the sound for the whole thing just sells it.
No, the sound is intense, and Eddie is now just a pile of primordial ooze,
protoplasm, protoplasm man, we'll call him.
And he's just like screaming and in pain, and it's fucking.
That's the first thought, buddy.
Yep,
life is pain.
Because he's just screaming. Yep. It's like he's energy too, because there's so much of it. Like
howling void.
Yeah, Basically,
it's the apocalypse. It's the thing that he was described and the thing he was looking for. And her mind is blown, and she grabs him and pulls him out of it.
Because right now it's just energy. Like there's so much. They talk about it after this, but like there's so much energy coming out of him. It's
like energy and history and
like power.
It's just like all the genetic memory. It's the genesis of that.
Yeah,
he's riding the fucking spiral all the way to the beginning. The whole
like the
DNA
Big Bang.
Spiral.
I was completely with it up until this point when he comes back from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you shouldn't have that kind of gnosis and come back from it. I think
not
without paying a price, not without like
I agree with
you.
Yeah,
the guy pays a price in pie. Anytime you get I don't know if you can come back from it from beyond. You didn't come back.
I do agree with you, but in the rules of this film, he is riding a trip though, and trips end. He is riding like this chemical, and eventually it does end, even though it is like literally mutating him into fucking light being. Within the rules of the film, I kind of like it, and also he does reach gnosis in the fact that like he does get to a point where
it's her touching him.
Yeah, he does learn what it's all about by the end of it. Like he does learn something from all of this.
Yeah, he has.
Well, Arthur is, regardless, Arthur is hyped as fuck about it, and Mason is fucking over it.
Everyone else is traumatized.
There's such an amazing fight about it that like goes into the bathroom, which is right next to where Eddie is sleeping.
So much yelling.
Almost come to blows over it. Yeah.
It's very much like a Altman. It's like one of Altman's like conversations in MASH. They're talking over each other, and if you have headphones on, you can understand it.
It's
so
well delivered.
Auditory processing disorders.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But it's one of the rare times where they actually did a better job of it than a lot of these movies do.
It's hard to do because they're just yelling over each other. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this podcast sometimes.
Well, they both going back to the fact.
Oh, yeah. Go
ahead. I was just going back to the fact. Stop yelling over me! Go,
just
you
like
go.
That.
Okay. They both make good points, and it's the idea too of like I do like how they portrayed their reactions because they saw something that's impossible. And they're just trying to process it, and they're all just traumatized in their own ways.
Not really, because like Arthur, he's traumatized in the way where he's like, "We have to do this with more people."
Yeah, just like, gobsmacked.
Yeah, see that?
He's like,
"Are you fucking nuts?"
Yeah. Oh my god, dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I'll kill you myself.
Yeah. No, all I was going to say is that going back to like Mason is the fucking hero of this movie. I mean, Mason is the one that's taking care of him. He's the one that carries Eddie back into Emily's house. He's the one that gets him back into bed. He's running
his clothes back from the security guy.
Running medical tests on him. He's checking on him. He's being his doctor.
Yeah. It's how he shows his affection through taking care of your health and yelling at you.
And see, that's
his love language, is shouting.
Exactly.
There is more chemistry between them than I think there is between Eddie and Emily.
Oh, absolutely.
Quite honestly.
Good point.
Well, he's helping with the work.
Yeah.
Like Emily and Eddie, they spend time together, and they end up like waking up together. And Eddie, not yet.
Not yet. We will. We'll get there.
Eddie finally, at least, verbally appreciates Emily for good reasons. Like, it's one of those things you hear him say it and you're like, oh, that's good. And then it gets batshit one more time.
And this is where it fell apart for me.
It's so awesome at the same
time. Look, I mean, it's visually very good, but it was just very hard for me to be invested in it when I was just like, oh.
At this point where he's talking and admitting his love and the lessons he learned.
Okay, good.
Oh, okay. Just him admitting like the lesson he learned of like how everything is basically nothing. Like, I went back to like.
Answer.
There is no answer. I went back to the ultimate oblivion, and there's nothing, and that's the whole point of life.
She fucking told him at the beginning.
Yep.
Exactly, because
like when they first meet at that party.
Yeah,
well, he's being a real man about it, where he has to go about it, do the hardest thing possible to figure it out and find out she was right in the end. Go figure. But we
should have taken that exit 2 miles back.
Oh, was that it?
We should have taken that exit 2 miles back.
Oh.
Yeah.
100%.
Emily also has.
Hold on, I'm not done. So at this point, I thought he was gonna I literally thought he was gonna jump out of a window. I thought he was gonna kill himself.
Yeah, I thought it was everything's fine now. I'm fine now. And then he
because he's so dejected. He's so dejected and depressed. I honestly thought, I'm is the movie going to go that direction? And it didn't, and I love it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shadow Link.
Well, go ahead.
Emily has this scene before Eddie wakes up where she kind of lampshades her role in the story is to just be there in the end and show everybody that love is the answer.
Yeah.
She ends up being right.
Yeah. I mean, but
Shadow Link, when life means nothing, all we have is each other.
Yeah.
At the moment. That's and
my question. It's just why does she love him? Why is she not sick of his shit? Because
that's fair.
Bring back the fucking anecdote. I did this once. I was young once, and I decided to smoke some dabs, and that was a very bad idea at that point with my tolerance. So I had a very bad trip, and I broke out of the Matrix for a minute, and my brain melted.
If you are not a heavy weed smoker and you smoke some dabs, it will absolutely do that to you. I've had to happen to friends.
But the thing is, I went back.
Bizarre.
I went fucking back. And you know what happened to me? My girlfriend at the time dumped me because of that shit.
Because I'm a man?
Yeah, pretty much.
You had a different ending than Edward.
Yeah. Exactly.
He didn't deserve you.
His is original.
She didn't deserve you.
But also, I don't blame her for fucking doing that because that was pretty fucked up. So
I don't know, man. I'm friends with some of these people out here just because I want to see what happens. No, but anyway,
he doesn't throw himself out of a window as I originally thought.
No, instead he turns into the lead singer of Aha. They absolutely borrowed this for their video.
100%. Yeah.
No fucking way it didn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, this is the birth of Cronenberg, is what Protoplasm Eddie is.
Has some beautiful special effects.
Some of the best CGI I've seen in I've seen movies in the 90s.
Is that even CGI? I think that's probably
it could be.
Some of it was,
rotoscope, rotoscope.
It was one of the first uses of CGI.
Oh wow,
it's incredible.
This is 4 years before Tron, and it's not that smooth. It's not that style. It's just kind of a texture mapping thing that's really fucking good. And evocative and tight. It's not like green screen or projection would be. It's
it is a little interpretive dancey.
For sure. Well, he's turning into the whole Uber monk or whatever.
Yeah, he's becoming a being of light, and
then she's telling him to deny it. She's yelling deny it,
because he's mutated, right? He's becoming a potato, a meat potato.
Yeah, and he
definitely
she touches him
out a little bit,
magma lady.
Yeah, she's not having
Mother Earth.
Yeah, it's not great for her.
Yeah,
and it's bonkers at this point because he turns himself back to a person, then he hugs her back to life, basically, and Reddit credits.
And the moral of the story is love. There you go.
Yeah.
It's the most.
It's probably the thing that killed Patty Kayevsky. I honestly think that it was the power of that. The way it's arrived at is awkward. There's no way around it. It seems a little sudden in the moment, but
it just feels
on a second viewing, I was just no, they really did. See, you don't pay attention to Emily because the way these types of movies are set up, you're paying attention to your protagonist as if he's a hero and not all the characters as if it's an ensemble.
Right.
And this is really much more of an ensemble piece than I had initially thought.
Yeah.
Because Mason is the best character. It's not even fucking close. He's literally one of the best cinematic characters I think I've ever seen.
Well, and I was especially impressed by, how after he kind of gets, Eddie on the bed, he's doing all the checks. think this is before he has the fight with the other guy,
Arthur.
And he's just like checking on Emily. He's like, "Hey, are you okay?"
Yeah.
Thanks. You know, I mean, he
a real
actually
good guy.
cares. He's not, he's not being an asshole to her, and
Right.
he absolutely sees her as just another victim here too. So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
He's
she has.
he's-
Oh, right.
Go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead.
He's never an asshole to like his friends either. Like this is just how like he cares, and because his friends are being fucking stupid, he yells.
Yeah.
Well, there's
And-
that, and like he's never being an asshole to them, like at
No.
them.
No.
He's being an asshole through like how he's dragging them into this obsession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a great salesman.
Yeah.
Like he's definitely got you. Like, look, dude, I'm trying to get to the first thought, and all I got to do is drink this weird mud shit and sit in the salt bath, and I'm turning into Monke and seeing God. And I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes, fellas. Let's just get a 12-pack, sit in the fucking office while the EKGs go off, and see. You smoke your cigar over there, and we'll just let dude get monkeyed up. But the progression of it over time, like within the rules of the film, this film is so much tighter than I initially thought it was going to be. Like, it makes sense. It has an internal logic that works, even if this stuff is the shit that, like, the worst person at the New Age meetup sounds like.
Yeah.
Seriously.
100%.
The way they present this is, what if? And you buy it.
Yeah.
And
I think
it goes hard. It goes a lot harder than I thought it was going to go, man.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting even the ending where like love saves the day, and I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, considering we've established that like nothing matters, you're right. It's.
I wish they had landed that a little better.
I
It's a
do
good ending.
too. I do
wish it had a
too.
better
That ending shot.
flourish. But it doesn't take anything away from like the first hour and 45 minutes of that shit.
No.
It doesn't. It's very.
What a
It's very.
ride.
It's very good. I feel if the movie was longer, that I actually would have heard it.
Mhm.
We get it.
It could have stood
exactly
maybe
what we
90 seconds more of anything.
need. Maybe.
Maybe. And it didn't need it. It was
Night.
tight.
Everyone say goodnight to my grandfather.
Good night.
Right.
Night. Then.
You too, listener.
You too.
You too. Anyway, yeah, no, I like it. I like the movie. Go hug your loved ones.
Yeah.
Don't try to get in touch with the absolute.
Well,
No,
Yeah.
I wanted to say there's something, I don't know. What I was getting at earlier was with the whole, it's kind of on the tail end of the whole new wave of science fiction thing, where the power of the mind can warp reality in a lot of ways.
Manifest. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of seems to, I don't know, it through the power of drugs, it kind of breaks some of the rules that we have in place. I like this as a sort of biopunk premise,
Yeah.
but
Nice. Yeah.
but if you put a little bit more like of a buffer in there, it's like it. You're right. It does have an internal logic, and considering the time, I think that it and people's understanding of that whole what if.
well, it definitely hits differently now than when it came out.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
You definitely know-
That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
okay.
well, it's like drug culture was all influenced by because people were getting into like Lovecraft and the occult and stuff
people were
that came
getting-
before. And
that first party, you see him smoking a joint, and that's like
Well, it's all about the
dirtiest,
altered states of
fucking weakest shit.
consciousness.
And
Right.
yeah. So it's like all these things we have been influenced, like Philip K. Dick, or all stuff that kind of I don't know. It all ties together.
Well, drugs are absolutely woven into, like cyberpunk science fiction and all of
Oh,
it.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
100%. And I think like the usefulness as far as like say cyberpunk is concerned, like if you've never seen this movie and you're writing something and you're trying to come up with like a good villain, fucking Ed, dude.
Mhm.
Like he's got justifications for everything. It's thought out. It's
Mhm.
researched. It's.
I mean,
He's
he's
sympathetic.
not wrong.
No,
Like,
he's sympathetic in his own
Yes.
way. It's just that
He
his
knows the stakes.
Yeah.
like Network, it's very microcosmic of a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
things.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, hell, he makes a good protagonist too. Just because he's an asshole, like he's human. He's a good character.
Is what he is.
Oh no, not even. Like,
but I'm saying for a villain, he would be a good one to kind of like mine a bit for his logic. Like just the way he finds out, because he's not a nice guy, and you don't have to be nice to be good.
Yeah,
exactly.
But is what he's doing good? I don't know. That's debatable.
But he also he really embodies the tech bro kind of mentality.
For sure.
Yeah.
The difference
they're all trying to fucking God or
something very Jack Dorsey about him.
Yeah. Well, the differences between Tech Bros and him, however, is that he's subjugating himself to the tank and the drug.
He doesn't have any seed money. He's
like, no, do it to me. Give me I want the experience.
Yeah,
this is for me.
Really, no interest in selling this to anybody.
No, this is for him. This is his own. He, with his father, it's like this whole thing is for him.
There's a certain nobility to that, but not necessarily here.
And the one thing that kind of puts a point on that is the way they present the whole thing with a really good blend of scientific approach, but also spirituality, but definitely landing in a scientific quantifiable. It's not like
it's trying to be
spirituality. It doesn't have too much spirituality.
There's no woo. There is zero.
No woo. There you go.
And he starts kind of doing away with spirituality, throughout the movie. At one point, he says, now that we've eliminated God, we've got no one to blame but ourselves.
The God's in our own. Our God, the God is in our own mind.
Yeah.
Hell of a line.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's very also rooted. It's rooted in again New Age occult, like chaos magic thinking.
And it's not even like atheistic. No. It's just more of results. Yeah. Well, not even that. It's just
not even nihilism.
Research.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not even nihilism. It's
nihilism.
I don't. Yeah, because nihilism. Because nihilism's not constructive. I don't think.
It's the optimistic version of nihilism.
Well,
or maybe not optimistic.
Ska shit.
Yeah,
I was going to say that just because Buddhism, but okay, for modern audience, it's ska. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So
I mean,
nothing matters but with horns. And that's Altered States, and that's
and you know what? I mean, it's definitely worth watching. I think because you can see the fucking birth of Cronenberg's work right here. Because Scanners came out like a year after this one, right? This was 1980, so.
These guys are all paying attention to each other around here.
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I think Cronenberg even had stuff out in the 70s, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He had like the crazies. But no,
did he have like this kind of?
I mean, it was still like weird and
body. When was American Werewolf in London?
Oh, I don't remember.
Because I know he had one. Hang on,
he did have an early film in the 70s that was literally called
81, Son of a Bitch.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm learning a lot here. But hell of a film. It's a lot of shit happens. It's it's a lot better than I thought it was.
I still like The Fly better.
Oh sure.
Oh, two different vibes though.
For the same
vibe.
Different
for
vibes,
the same vibe, or for a similar vibe. Themes. For a similar vibe, for a similar theme, I think for my money, I would say Serpent in the Rainbow, but this was a great watch. And Serpent in the Rainbow is scarier, but not as visually stimulating.
Yeah, I have to rewatch Serpent in the Rainbow, but I agree with that. I would even say too, from like more of the woo, occult woo part of it. I would say A Dark Song for if you want another movie about obsession and trying to
go back to.
Find,
just
find
that
Dr.
Jekyll, right?
Yeah. Dude, I'll bring up A Dark Song.
I mean, you should, but if
you want the ultimate woo movie, that is the one.
Yes,
that is the woo movie.
It's accurate.
If you're going to watch a woo movie, watch A Dark Song.
Yes.
Fuck.
If you want, it's also visually appealing, and it's also about like letting go and obsession. Yes. Thank you. So this is an entire episode about what Shadowlink is. I don't know. Are you still wrong? I think you came around.
No, you don't. I mean, I get it.
I still have
criticisms.
Oh, absolutely.
because like it wasn't really until like the second rewatch where it really hit me like, oh shit, this is a tapestry.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is extremely well.
Oh yeah.
You know, like the first time I watched it was kind of hitting me, and the nostalgia was hitting me because the second time I watched it was in the '90s when I was doing acid. Now I gotta tell you, wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
And,
not so much. Certain
flew right
parts.
by me, bounced right off. You know.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, you know, I'm older, got a little bit more under the skids, and yeah.
I like the Phil Dick
Sat
comparison.
back.
Yeah.
We might have missed some subtleties the first time.
Might have.
Possibly.
NyQuil's good.
Oh yeah, did you take that?
Hatman strength. Did you get Hatman strength?
I'm at Hatman levels here. Yeah, this is good. I might play some Slay the Spire before I pass the fuck out.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
so next episode.
Next time we have 3.
We have 3.
Yeah.
I'm not even
watch ahead of time. We have for you. Holy Christ! They're in my face.
The list is in the chat.
I own them. I bought Life Force.
You bought them, right?
I bought Life Force. I paid too much money for Life Force.
Any amount of money was too much money.
I paid $15 for the Blu-ray.
You are
$15 for the Blu-ray.
Used.
Good God.
I got it. Let's see what else was there. There was so there's Crimes of the Future, Cronenberg's sequel to Videodrome. And if I think too hard, I'll poop.
It's The Cell. It's The Cell.
The Cell, which I love. I don't care. I rewatched it.
You know,
We'll get into it.
Let's save it.
We'll get into it.
We've already been on 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we've done the thing. We're good. So more spoopy next week, and y'all chill the fuck out and
return to
Monke.
Tell a
friend. Tell a friend.
Do a countdown. It's because I'm not well still, but tell a friend, and thank you. This is weird now, guys. I don't know what to say.
Monke.
All systems are fully functioning. Running lowlife.exe. System optimization is less than nominal. Server damage detected. Please stop whatever you are doing and make your way to the nearest exit. Technical support is on heat. Please vacate the area. I repeat. Please leave. Are you even listening to me? I will sue you. Error. Server block 3 is experiencing critical ignition.
That's right.
System failure imminent. I hope you are proud of yourself. Initiating the Low Life Podcast.